Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined, as ever, by the most beautiful co-host in the cosmos. It is Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how the devil are you, good sir?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic. It stopped raining for a little bit. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. No sense of complaining. Everything is really, really well in my neck of the woods. To be honest with you, I'm actually better than normal, which we will get into. I'm not saying I'm normal, but I'm more excited than usual this week. We'll get into that in just a moment, brother. But how's everything in your neck of the woods?
I'll be honest, man, I'm a little scared at the moment because, you've mentioned how happy you are, and having known you for as long as I have, I know that you are, by default, a very, very happy man. I feel like you're, if you were an animal, you'd be a very, very happy golden retriever. And I mean that in the nicest way, very excitable. So for you to be more excited and more happy than usual, that is ever so slightly terrifying.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a moment, my man. I'll get into that moment. I know we did a little, we were talking just a little bit before we hit the record button, and I know that we want to wish some thoughts and prayers and well wishes to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we recorded the Marigold Standard, which will be out by the time you guys hear this, and we obviously sent our prayers and good thoughts to the family of Sabu, who passed away very, very recently. But also, it's come out on Twitter today that Jim Ross has unfortunately been diagnosed with colon cancer, which is awful. It really, really is. We don't know a great deal apart from that, but obviously, for a lot of us who, especially watching through the Attitude Era and stuff like that, JR was the voice of our childhood. In WWE, was the caller of so many great moments. Obviously, was the voice of early AEW. So we just want to send out good vibes, positive thoughts for JR and his family. And if anyone is going to beat cancer's ass, it's going to be JR. So fingers crossed for him, and hopefully he comes through the other side of it, Matt.
Yeah, in my opinion, Jim Ross is the greatest announcer of all time. I was actually just listening to, I'm a big fan of his podcast because he gets it's basically old school versus new school. He broke into the Bill Watts territory back in, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s, and he's been able to take his knowledge and evolve it with AEW. So it's always great hearing, and I actually learned a lot of pro wrestling just listening to him and Conrad's podcast. One of my favorite things to listen to in all my drives. So it's obviously thoughts and prayers with Jim Ross. You're absolutely right. If anybody's going to beat it, it's going to be good old JR. I mean, just the string of bad luck he's had over the last handful of years with skin cancer and certain things with his foot, and he just keeps getting up. And every time that you hear him on his podcast, he's doing like another autograph signing or a virtual autograph signing, or he's writing a book. So he's doing a podcast, or he's doing commentary or backstage interviews for AEW. So nothing can keep this guy down. And I believe he's about to enter his 51st year in the pro wrestling business, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, Jim Ross was obviously the voice of, I wouldn't say my childhood. I think that was more Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, but more of kind of like my teenage years. And again, in my opinion, I think he's the greatest announcer of all time. And whenever he does the big matches on AEW, it feels like a bigger match than it already does going in, because it's like, oh my God, the greatest of all time, Jim Ross, is doing the announcing on this match. So yes, thoughts and prayers with good old JR during this difficult time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Matt, we've kept the audience in suspense for long enough. I will just say to watchers on YouTube that, yes, it is my audio avatar just for today. Like I said, on the Marigold stand, I've been having a few connection issues, so I'm waiting for an adapter to arrive. I was hoping that it would arrive today. It has not, so therefore you just get to see my lovely cartoon face and its massive chin, but you do still get to see the lovely Matt Turner and his spiffing new haircut. But with that being said, Matt Turner, please, 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 please regale us with why you are more excitable than usual.
Folks, as we record this is Thursday. Yesterday, Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite. Now, Rob Goodwin, me and you have been podcasting for around 4 years. And one of the many things I have learned from you over these glorious 4 years is if it does not have a match graphic, it's not official. Which does mean if it does have a match graphic, it is official. AEW was fantastic. The show from start to finish, great show. Rob Goodwin, obviously, we'll probably talk about it in a little bit because one Azumi, the New Japan Strong Champion, our beloved Azumi wrestling for Stardom, was on said show. And as soon as they played her theme, they zoomed in on her Titantron and it said,
I know what you're going to say.
and it said Queen's Quest. So folks,
absolutely.
Folks on the, I mean, and this wasn't like, in front of 150 people, VOD or YouTube. This was streamed on HBO Max. This was live on TNT, a worldwide network. Queen's Quest, folks. They got to be back. They got to be back. A lot of people like, Matt, did you see that? Did you see they put Azumi, the old Azumi Tron? Like, maybe it's the new one. Because maybe, folks, we were all bowing down to the Queen. So, again, if it has a match graphic, it's got to be official. If I saw a giant graphic on worldwide TV, it's got to be official. The Queens are back. I will hear nothing else of it, my friend. Nothing else of it.
You know what it was, mate? It was because of all of that talk of King's Journey that we did on the Marigold Standard. It prompted Tony Khan to resurrect Queen's Quest. Tony Khan had an interesting show in relation to the Stardom talent because they changed Mina Shirakawa's music as well, and it got such a bad reaction. They changed it back by the end of the match. Now that is listening to your public. And someone put on Twitter, is Tony Khan just scanning through Twitter and seeing the tweets about this? And he just posted, "Yep." So yes, no worries. Mina Shirakawa's music will be her usual one, and hopefully we will see the new dance as well. Though I do feel sorry for her because she had to choreograph a brand new dance for that brand new music. But Matt, the big question is, I suppose, if Queen's Quest is once again coming back, who would you have in this new Queen's Quest? Would it be an international variation of Queen's Quest?
Rob, real quick, buddy. My feed keeps freezing. Can you? I'm waving my hand. Can you see it? Okay. Am I moving?
No, unfortunately not. We can just see you paused in quite a horrific way. I'm not going to lie. Oh, no, there we go.
I have to keep refreshing my screen. I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay, no problem. That's happened a time or two before, so I might, at least in the audio realm, you'll be okay. Once I freeze, I just refresh my screen. Not that big of a deal. To answer your question, who would I have in this new version of Queen's Quest? I would go.
Can I just interject before?
Absolutely.
Obviously, we would have Azumi, and obviously, we would have the human Cadillac Dorian DeVille. I feel like that is a given at this point.
Queen Clown. You got to have Queen Clown in there.
Absolutely. Always.
You got to have Momo Watanabe in there. We're going to have Saya Kamitani. We're going to have FWC. We're going to have, let's go with Serena Deeb. I'm a big fan of Serena Deeb.
Yeah.
And just because I'm looking at a custom action figure, let's go Minoru Suzuki. Let's go. Think about that. There we go.
That is a vicious faction right there. Obviously, you could have Jamie Hayter in there as well. Jamie Hayter coming to the aid of Azumi on Dynamite, which we'll be talking about very shortly.
I like that.
So let's not beat around the bush. We have already sort of spoken about it. So let's head straight into the news. And it turns out, Matt, that the A in AEW is Azumi. Because what a time in America Azumi has had. It all started on the 9th of May, where at New Japan Resurgence, in the main event, no less, Azumi defeated both Mina Shirakawa and Mercedes Moné to end her 313-day run with the New Japan Strong Women's Champion to become the 5th champion, her first singles belt since 2023 in 17 minutes and 53 seconds, not pinning Mercedes, crucially, and that will play a part into what we're talking about in Dynamite very shortly, but she did pin Mina Shirakawa with the Azumi Sushi. A great match, Matt. Really good for Azumi as well. I'm really happy for her. And hopefully this is going to lead to a singles match. AZM versus Mercedes Moné.
I don't know who this AZM you refer to. I do know one Azumi. I know one. Bow down to Azumi, Azumi, Azumi. Anywho, great match. That was on Friday, and I think the match started around midnight my time. However, it was not a school night, Rob Goodwin, so I stayed up and watched it, and
Whoa.
and I was very impressed that it was the main event. And not only was it the main event, it main evented over an IWGP Championship rematch between
It did.
Hiroki Goto and Zack Sabre Jr. And because the show was on a little bit later, and I wasn't sure when that match was going to happen, I was like, they're going to put Zack and Goto on as the main event, right? Because that's your big championship rematch. So I wasn't sure when said match was going to happen. I'm not going to lie, I did take a nap and missed maybe the first hour or so of said show, which I did miss the return of former World of Stardom champion B. Priestley. So good on her. Good on her. Maybe more on her coming to Stardom, because there was a lot teased with her and Azumi after said match with some old school promo pictures we saw on social media as well. But as the show as a whole was amazing. Like the Ishii match was great. The Zack Sabre Jr. match was terrific. But I was like, wow, they're putting these girls on last. That means they're definitely going to have to deliver. And they over delivered. Everybody was over. Mina crazy over. Mercedes crazy over. Azumi got over. Then as the match was going, she was getting more of the reaction because she's Azumi and the match was based around her. You can kind of tell as we're getting to that 14, 15-minute mark. I was like, oh, I think Azumi's winning just by the match, the way the match was building. But we say it all the time. We're going to say it again. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, is a phenomenal in-ring competitor. Her best matches, in my opinion, are against the Joshis. Again, no, she's got great matches with Charlotte Flair. WrestleMania 37 main event with Bianca Belair was terrific. Great stuff with Bayley. Her best matches are the Mayus, the Kairis, the Hazukis, the Azumis, the Minas, the Momos. I mean, she has the best matches with the Joshis, and this was no exception. This was just as good as that three-way from a few years ago with her, Hazuki, and Azumi. They just had more time to tell their story because it was the main event, and that place rocking after a long, I think like 3.5 hour show. But a phenomenal match, one of my favorite matches of the week. Really terrific stuff. I kind of figured when Mina and Azumi back in Chicago went to a double count out that I was like, okay, they're making it a three-way. Clearly Mercedes is dropping this belt, but without taking the fall. And I wasn't sure if it was going to go to Mina or if it was going to go to Azumi until maybe a week or so after All-Star Grand Queen. I'm like, I think it's going to be Azumi. I think that'd be the right way to go. And clearly that's the way they went. Now, I wasn't sure if they were going to play on the fact that Mercedes never got pinned and to lose the belt, which again, that's the rules of the three-way dance. And if they were going to be able to play that back, and it really seems like, fast forward a handful of days later, just yesterday, again, as of this recording, it does seem like we're going to be going to a Mercedes and Azumi singles match somewhere soon, which, of course, partner, I am all for. And again, that was Andy Header, fantasy booking at the big event New York, when he basically told Mercedes, you and Azumi to have that singles match. And then she said something like, you mean AZM? And then Andy Header gave her the look, gave her the eye. It's Azumi.
Wow. So Andy Header versus Mercedes Moné is on the horizon. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Well, we might as well go on to Dynamite, which obviously happened last night as we record Dynamite Beach Break, where it was announced that there would be an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator 4-way. Sky Blue making her return from a really quite nasty injury that she sustained in July of last year on Collision. And she's actually come out and talked about the injury, and it really is quite disgusting in her own words. So I'm really glad that she is back. But on top of that, there was Mina Shirakawa returning to AEW, Azumi, your New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and of course the AEW World Women's Champion, Timeless Toni Storm. Great match. Again, Mina Shirakawa getting the pinfall over the champion Toni Storm, and that sets up an AEW Women's World Championship match for Double or Nothing 2025 coming up in a couple of weeks in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, Toni Storm did point to a match graphic on the Tron. We are yet to have an official match graphic, but it does look like Mina Shirakawa is going to get that rematch against Toni Storm, of course, lost at Forbidden Door 2024 for the belt. That's not all. Azumi was then attacked by Mercedes Moné. after the match for taking her belt. And the argument, of course, is Mercedes be quicker at breaking up pins. But Mercedes was then attacked by Jamie Hayter. Of course, Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné will be taking each other on in the finals of the Owen Hart tournament again at Double or Nothing. But lots of Stardom representation on AEW. Great to see Azumi especially getting more American exposure. Mina Shirakawa, new gear, new theme, new dance, two of which will not be present, I assume, at Double or Nothing. But even so, great for her. And it's someone made a very interesting point that Mina Shirakawa is 37. And that is the same age as Dakota Kai, who was recently let go in quite shocking fashion from WWE. And obviously everything that comes out of that. So people have said that people were very shocked that Dakota Kai was let go. But one of the points that was made, and again, I don't know how true this is, but one of the points that was made was Dakota Kai's age. And here you've got Mina Shirakawa, who is exactly the same age in a title match on one of the biggest pay-per-views. So it's an interesting comparison. Again, I'm not... It's apples and oranges comparing AEW to WWE, and I'm certainly not going to be plugging the depths of that. But what I am saying is Mina Shirakawa has up sticks, moved her entire life across the ocean, and it's good to see her getting a push. And I know Fightful have said that Mina Shirakawa is in line for a big, big push.
Yeah, I mean, the match was terrific. I mean, obviously, you look at the talent in there, and again, obviously, this is the Stardom cast. We represent Stardom. Toni Storm, former red belt champion. Mina, former white belt champion. Azumi, former high-speed champion and the current New Japan Strong champion. And I'm a big fan of Sky Blue, especially her last 6 months or so before she got injured. She really upped her game. She really improved herself. And Rob, I know that this show took place at like 2 a.m. your time. I'm not sure if you got a chance to see said match. But for me, again, as much as I love Mina and Toni and Azumi, the best part of this match was the exchanges between Azumi and Sky Blue. Again, we have seen AEW participation come over to Stardom. Again, Anna Jay did a fantastic job in the 5-star Grand Prix last year and has improved her in-ring skills quite a bit. I would love to see Sky Blue do a tour or two of Stardom. And again, maybe put her in the 5-star Grand Prix. I would have no problem with that. Her and Azumi's exchanges, again, were terrific. Ultimately, it was Toni Storm, the small package, which I think they call the large package now. I think that's what they're calling it on commentary. Got it reversed from Mina Shirakawa. So again, a really solid match. Everybody hit the high notes. You kind of didn't know which way it was going to go. I kind of figured with 10 days left until Double or Nothing, you need your big championship match to kind of come about. And obviously Toni Storm on these eliminator matches has won every one. So I figured it'd be Mina Shirakawa to get the win, but I thought she would pin Sky Blue. But it does make sense to pin the champion. So again, it does look like, hey, I have your number very much, and we'll get into it very much. I saw how Saya Kamitani is consistently dropping falls in these tag matches, and then it makes it look like, oh boy, the challenger can beat the champion because the champion is vulnerable. We did see it is possible. So they basically, took that really easy booking strategy and went from there. And obviously Toni and Mina, they do have that past history, as you mentioned, Forbidden Door last year for the AEW Women's Championship, one of the best matches on a fantastic show. So it was really great having Azumi in there and her getting the reaction that she did. And she was, to the shock of nobody, phenomenal in the ring. And the Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa exchanges were good. The Azumi and Toni Storm exchanges, they were fantastic as well. We saw, it was about a year ago or so, they had a great match on Collision, Toni and Azumi. So ultimately, boy, my thing keeps freezing back and forth over here. Ultimately, though, really, really great match, a really fantastic Dynamite. Again, it's really going to be interesting to see where they're going to do, with Mina. She comes, obviously, just signed with AEW. She gets a championship match right out of the gate. I'm not expecting her to win, even though it is a possibility. I just think that the momentum Toni Storm has right now is you don't change your champion, especially when you don't change the title when your champion is this hot. Especially AEW, they're drawing really big numbers now. They're having some of their highest TV numbers or segment numbers with Toni Storm. And Beach Break had something like almost 5,000 tickets sold. It looks like Double or Nothing is just about sold out. They're doing really good on the pre-sales for All In, which my guess is going to be Mercedes versus Toni Storm because that's a big match and it's your biggest show of the year. So I just don't see Toni losing just yet. But again, regardless, Mina Shirakawa, we know she's not a Stardom wrestler, but she'll always be a Stardom wrestler. Very much like Io, Kyrie, Giulia. To us, they're always going to be Stardom wrestlers. Like Tommy Dreamer, to me, will always be an ECW wrestler because that's just kind of, their foundation. So, and she did ask. Mina Shirakawa did ask us point blank to make sure that we support her in AEW. So we promised her we would. So we will continue to talk about Mina Shirakawa on said platform. Plus, she's fantastic. But yeah, folks, if you have not got a chance to see said match, definitely go out of your way to watch it because it was terrific. And again, I'm all for a Sky Blue run in Stardom because she was fantastic. And again, her first match back in what was it, 7-8 months, partner? Is that how long she was out for?
July 2024.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So 10 months. So yeah, 10 months. And she was great. And I thought it was smart putting her in a 4-way where she doesn't have to do all the work just yet, just so she can kind of, get her ring rest off and make sure she can get her timing down. And again, look who she was in the ring with. Azumi, Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm, 4 world-class wrestlers. So again, fantastic match. If you haven't seen it yet, go out of your way to watch it because it was terrific.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very good match. And obviously big things planned for Mina Shirakawa. You mentioned as well, and something I did sort of gloss over, but Bea Priestley did return to a New Japan ring, beat Viva Van in what I think was an unannounced match on the kickoff in less than 5 minutes. And then obviously was with Azumi backstage. Lots and lots of history between the pair, both in Queen's Quest. And I know that Azumi has been something of a little sister to Bea Priestley whilst she was in Japan. So that seems to be a direction we are going. At the moment, New Japan haven't announced any other US dates, but of course, they are entering what is their busiest time, what with the Best of the Super Juniors, Dominion, and then the G1 Climax. So I am led to believe that again, this is New Japan's busiest time, that we will get some more American dates, I imagine, later on in the summer. But with Forbidden Door on the horizon, obviously the end of August, I believe the 24th of August at the O2 in London, which I will be attending. I'm hoping that we will see perhaps Azumi defending that belt against Bea Priestley if it doesn't happen in Japan.
I don't think it's going to happen, buddy, because I think it's on the same day as the 5-star final or like the day before, something like that, or the opening of the 5-star. I think it's made mention that it's like right or like with the time zones that if there's probably not unless they're going to pull like maybe like one of the Stardom rookies to put them on there. I don't think there's going to be any Stardom participation on said show just because it literally bumps right up with, I believe, the start of the 5-star. Sorry, buddy. I know you're going. I'm sorry.
It's fine because the final is August 23rd. So it's not the start, it's the final.
Oh,
now,
okay.
They can obviously get around that by, again, we saw it last year where not everyone is on the card. There are no block matches apart from the final. So if you do have a couple of wrestlers that are going to be at Forbidden Door, Stardom's roster, even with the departures, is deep enough that you can cover, especially in undercard tags. So again, I'd love Azumi to be winning the 5-star Grand Prix. I don't think she is winning the 5-star Grand Prix. Though I must admit, with Micah definitely missing the tournament, it's going to be interesting to see who does win it, because I think that does open a lot of doors moving forward. There's someone that I think will win it.
Go ahead. I think we're on the same page. Go ahead. You go first.
Momo Watanabe.
Oh, I don't know. I would say 5-star clown. I thought that's as of right now, buddy, not unless and I'm going to get into the whole TAM thing with the obviously with Zach Corrigan and the challenge. Not unless they go that way. Right now, I'm agreeing with you, Momo Watanabe. Oh, then again, maybe 5-star clown, or maybe the Tauntauns for those of you who listen to this.
The Tauntauns. The Tauntauns. Something else that's happening in the UK, Pro Wrestling Eve will be running their Hit Me Baby One More Time show on Friday the 6th of June at Big Penny Social in London. And the reason I bring this up is because it will feature an IWGP Women's Championship match with the belt being defended in the UK for the very first time. Syuri will be featured on that card, and she will be taking on Alex Windsor in what will be her first ever challenge. We are going to be talking about this a little bit later on because obviously Syuri, again, like London buses, no pun intended, she gets none and then two come along at once. So she'll be defending against Alex Windsor and then potentially defending at the Conversion against Saori. So we'll be talking about that later on. Again, I'm hoping I will be at that show. I mean, I was already umming and ahhing about going to that show because of Syuri. Alex Windsor, by the way, is fantastic for those that haven't seen her. Former International Princess Champion in TJPW, and just generally one of the best women's wrestlers on the independent scene in the UK. So it's definitely going to be a fantastic match. But last night, Bozilla was also announced for that card. So I am almost 100% that I'm going. Kirsty may be coming with me as well. So if you are looking at coming, then please come and say hello.
Activate your dot card, buddy.
My dot card is activated.
Ladies
My
and
dot
gentlemen,
card is activated.
He's ready to go. You need to pull Matt Turner in Vegas and just tap everybody, my man.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. But yeah, I don't think they announced Bozilla's opponent, but regardless, that's awesome. Obviously, Syuri and Alex Windsor. That's going to be a fantastic match. And then you're adding in the mighty and nice, very nice Bozilla on said show. So it's nice to see Bozilla getting back out there. So and again, we don't know where she's going to land. We don't know where she's going to land. I'm sure she has offers from pretty much every major wrestling company on planet Earth because she's fantastic. So it's going to be interesting to see who she's going to wrestle at said show. And then maybe by the end of the summer, we'll have an idea if she's going to WWE, if she's going back to Marigold, if she's going to Stardom, if she's going to All Japan Women's, if she's going to, World Class Championship Wrestling. Who knows, my man? Who knows? But obviously, I'm really excited for her because the world really is at her oyster. And I think she's only like 21 or 22. So the fact she's that good at that young of an age that she can pretty much write her own ticket anywhere she wants to go, partner.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about Natsupoi and Sayori Anou, as obviously their 10th anniversary show is going to be live from Ottawa City Gym on the 31st of May. And obviously I wasn't on the Stardom cast last week. I apologize. I had it was a couple of things going on last week, but thankfully everything is okay. But they did have a couple of match announcements that I just want to go over, and then they've also announced the main event as well. So their Cosmic Angels brethren have all been given singles matches. So Sayaka Kurura is going to be taking on Mayumi Ozaki. Yuna Mizumori is going to be taking on Saki, which is going to be great. Yuna Mizumori, by the way, is going to be getting a lot of praise for her New Blood match against Soy, which was fantastic. But then Aya Sakura got her singles match, and they gave her an easy match. Saori versus Aya Sakura, and bearing in mind that Aya Sakura also took on Syuri at Korakuen Hall, so in the space of 2 weeks, we'll have faced both Syuri and Saori. Again, I'm all for this because Aya Sakura is absolutely fantastic. And I know for a fact that she is going to have a very, very, very good match with the Sun Goddess. Also announced is the Tenkyu Rumble, which has got a whole host of names in there. You've got Stardom alumni such as Hiroyo Matsumoto, Shin Hirota Sakura is in there, Ryo Mizunami is in there as well, Rina Amikura and Yuko Sakurai, who you may remember from the Triangle Derby in 2023. But Suzu Suzuki as well is also in that Rumble as well. That being said, Matt, the main event was then announced, and Natsupoi and Sayori Anou will be tagging together, as we sort of assumed they probably would be. But who against? I hear you cry. Only Chihiro Hashimoto and Mika Iwata from Sendai Girls, which, again, what a match that is going to be. Natsupoi and Sayori Anou, slowly but surely putting together their claim for Bookers of the Year. This show looks very, very good. Obviously, you've got a tag match earlier on the card, Yumika Hotta and a mystery opponent against Kiyoru Ito and a mystery opponent. So that's going to be really exciting. Obviously, again, Yuna Manas and Maika Ozaki, who we saw on New Blood this time, they are going to be on this card. Tei Honma is also in that tag match. But Matt, this is going to be a very, very good card, a very fun card. And I hope they sell a lot of tickets because it's going to be a really nice celebration of two very good careers.
Yeah, they have. I was actually looking at the Stardom ticket sales between now and the conversion, and everything's selling well. The next two Korakuen halls are just about sold out, which is crazy. And the conversion's selling really, really well on this show coming up on the 31st of May. Looks like they're doing really, really gangbuster business. So, and it looks like it's heavily being promoted by Stardom. So I don't know if they're going to do this as a pay-per-view. I think it is, because I think when I clicked the link to look at tickets, I think it said like special pay-per-view. So it's probably going to be a pay-per-view on Stardom World, which doesn't matter. I will absolutely pay the extra money to see that show, because why not? Obviously, the main event. I know a lot of people are like, boy, Soriano just can't get away from Miko Wada. Any way you slice it, they were supposed to be done, which we know done in wrestling means like, they're going to take a week break. They're supposed to have their last match at All-Star Grand Dream Queendom. Then they were opposites of each other at All-Star Grand Queendom just a few weeks ago. And now they're in this tag match, but I have no problem with it, buddy. I love me some Miko Wada. I love me some Soriano. We're getting Saori, Chihiro Hashimoto. Remember the last time Chihiro Hashimoto was in the ring with Natsupoi, our murder pixie? She went flying more than once. So super excited for this card. Definitely the main event is something I'm looking forward to. But that Aya Sakura, who has been bringing up her game time in and time out, especially, and again, we'll get into that match with Syuri. Now she's wrestling Saori. So this is, they're really like, okay, you've been improving. You're really showing what you can do. Here's Syuri in a big main event style match in a jam-packed Korakuen Hall. And here it is on the special Natsupoi Soriano pay-per-view from, I believe it's Oda Ward, right?
It is Oda Ward, yeah.
Big venue, Oda Ward. You're going to get Saori. So it's like, that's terrific. And again, I know we'll touch upon it, but I thought it was really funny after the Syuri versus Aya Sakura match, Saori got in the ring and she kind of eyed up Aya Sakura. Like, you thought that was a butt kicking? Just wait 3 weeks time. But again, we keep mentioning that and Stardom's been doing this for the last handful of years, as stacked as their roster is and was and always will be. They've always done a great job building other people up to get into certain spots. And I think like Aya Sakura and Yuna, now that, again, Mina gone to AEW, Mayu gone to Marigold, Micah's going to be out for 6 to 12 months. Tekla looks like that she's in AEW. They've been doing some teases with the Spider in the middle of certain matches on AEW TV, which is really cool. Tam has supposedly retired. So a lot of people have to step up, and everybody really has, but I don't think any two wrestlers have stepped up to three wrestlers have stepped up more than the other members of Cosmic Angels, with Yuna Mizumori, Sayaka Kurura, and Aya Sakura. So again, good on them. They're giving them the opportunity to show what they can do in singles matches on big shows against some of the best wrestlers on the planet. So again, good on them, and I'm really looking forward to this whole entire show, but especially that Syuri versus Aya Sakura match.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up about stepping up, because there's been a couple of interviews coming out of the world of Stardom recently. We're going to talk about the FWC one a little bit later on during the Korakuen Hall review, because even Hazuki has come out and said these interviews aren't reporting what I've said. So that's nice and confusing. But Saya Kamitani has also come out in an interview and said about basically how she feels she's on top of the world at the moment. And who are we to argue? 3 of the last 5 Korakuen Hall shows have been sellouts. But she did mention, and this is something that friend of the show, Scotty Wrestling, pointed out on Twitter, that she hopes someone gets to her level soon. And this is something I wanted to bring up with you. I was going to bring it up at the Korakuen Hall review, but I think it segues nicely into it now. Saya Kamitani is on an island on her own at the moment. And of course, there's going to be, Stardom are certainly, as I put out on Twitter, navigating into uncertain waters at the moment, because Mayu's gone, who is a bona fide star. Tam has retired, who is a bona fide star. Micah is now out for 9 months to a year, reportedly. Again, we don't know how, if it will be 9 months. It's reported that it will be. Mike is a bona fide star. And if you look at the rest of the roster, and yes, you have got Suzu Suzuki, yes, you've got Azumi, yes, you've got Starlight Kid, yes, you've got Syuri. But aside from Syuri, of those names I've mentioned, none of them are bona fide stars on Saya Kamitani's level. In my opinion, I think that Starlight Kid is almost there. I think that Azumi is almost there, but Saya Kamitani needs opponents. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the match with Sayaka Kurura, something completely different for the red belt, and Sayaka Kurura's stock was raised significantly from that match. I'm going to be really intrigued to see where Stardom go next. Obviously, you've got the the conversion, where Saya Kamitani will be defending the red belt. Who is that going to be against? Obviously, we've got Hanako challenging for the white belt. You've got Sayaka Kurura challenging for the red belt. It's going to be really interesting to see Stardom rebuild after these departures. And I do think Stardom will be fine. I've got no doubt about that. This is certainly not the beginning of the end or anything like that by any stretch. But it is an interesting point. We've talked about how wrestlers need to step up, but who are those wrestlers? And, there does need to be, if you want to continue these really, really good ticket sales, it can't just be on the back of Saya Kamitani. You've got a fantastic heel champion, perhaps the best in wrestling. So now we need to build up those baby faces to challenge Saya Kamitani, and obviously one eventually needs to knock her off, which I do humbly feel will probably be Micah. Maybe it'll be Momo Watanabe, depending on the heel turn. Obviously, at the moment, she is ironically out with a heel injury, which, again, you wouldn't believe, would you? I know. It's an ankle injury, not a heel injury. But for the sake of the bit, it was a heel injury. And I was intrigued to sort of, I know that you are an inherently positive man, and I'm intrigued to hear your take on that. Because, again, that's not negative from me. That's just, I'm intrigued to know, because I don't think anyone can say that anyone in Stardom at the moment is on the level of Saya Kamitani.
I don't think anybody in Joshi really is.
Agreed.
She's the biggest star in Joshi. She probably has the biggest buzz of any wrestler in a Japanese company. There's nobody in New Japan that has the buzz of Saya Kamitani. Obviously, All Japan. Noah, that champion in Noah, I forget his name. I haven't seen a match from his, but he's got a lot of buzz. And again, I need to watch Ozawa. Yeah, I haven't seen a match from his, but he's got a ton of buzz. So a ton of buzz that's so. And I know that the last few shows with him on top, they've been drawn really well. But my point is, nobody's got the buzz. Nobody's done what Saya Kamitani's done in 5 months. And I mentioned this on social media just the other day. Who sold out Sumo Hall? Kamitani. Who sold out back-to-back Korakuens? Kamitani. Who set the record by over 2,000 people? Kamitani. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, Matt Tam was there. Yes, he was. For a lot of it, the Suzu match was Saya and Suzu. So no Tam there. So it's just like, and again, Tam is you cannot deny Tam is one of, if not the biggest draw in Stardom's history. You can't argue with numbers. Whether you like her or dislike her, I think she's just okay. The numbers don't lie. But basically, you basically take the wave of momentum from Tam, and then you put it on a phenomenal wrestler like Saya Kamitani on a character that, again, I didn't think was going to work. And this is the point in the podcast where I apologize for last year how wrong I was on the Saya Kamitani turn, because it turned out to be the biggest box office thing in Stardom's history. But I mentioned last week on the podcast, partner, I know you weren't here, and I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. I mentioned if they can do around 1,200 people in Korakuen Hall with her and Sayaka Kurura, and Sayaka's only been wrestling a year and a half. They can do around 1,200 people. This is going to be a massive thing for Stardom. And the undercard was okay. Like, it's Stardom. Nothing's bad, with the exception of the Aya versus Syuri match. Nothing really, really, really stood out. So it's like, okay, they can do around 1,200. They're going to be okay. And we're going to get into it. They did 1,500 people with Kamitani on top defending the red belt against an unproven person that can draw money. So it's like, okay, I think that anything that Saya Kamitani does right now touches to gold. I see your point where it's like nobody challenged her after Korakuen. Where are they going? We still have 6 weeks to build up to the conversion. My guess is because she pinned her 2 weeks before All-Star Grand Queendom and you just put her on worldwide TV, my guess it's going to be Azumi. Not only that, but you have the story from last year. Teru Okada and Stardom, they do a great job of calling back certain stories. You have the story of last year, that big match between Oedo Tai and Queen's Quest, where it came down to Saya Kamitani and Azumi on the Queen's Quest team. And then obviously Saya lost, and Saya was in tears. And Azumi was the first one to confront her and was just like, when Saya was apologizing, that I let Queen's Quest down. And Azumi was just like, no, I let Queen's Quest down because I've been here the longest. And I am the one that really should have been there to help you towards the end. So you have that story there. Plus, it's going to be a great match. And again, the tickets are selling really, really well. And we're like 6 weeks out from this show. So my guess, that's the match to go to. And in meantime, you can build your mid-carders and your somewhat main eventers up to a big match with Saya Kamitani. Not only that, Rob, but basically right after the conversion, we're going to be pretty much all systems go to the 5-star Grand Prix. And if anybody pins Saya Kamitani or goes the old TLD with her, easy story to tell. Soriano, Natsupoi. And again, she drew big money with Sayaka Kurura. Who's not to say they don't do a Saya Kamitani versus a Yuna Mizumori match in Korakuen Hall for the red belt? It would work because they're trying new things and it seems to be working. Again, Hanako is challenging at the next Korakuen Hall show, which again, against Starlight Kid, which again is almost sold out. So yeah, it does seem like 4 or 5 months ago, they had everybody there because Micah, we weren't sure what was going to happen with Mayu. We thought Mina was staying. That obviously didn't happen. Then we get these wrath of injuries and whatnot happening. At the same time, I think that they know what they're doing and they have the biggest star in all of Joshi by a mile. You're right. There's nobody on her level. Nobody is drawing like Saya Kamitani. And you put her in the ring with anybody, it seems to make sense. And I think the one smart thing that they're doing, and they took a big gamble with this, is having Saya Kamitani lose in these preview tag matches, then to build up to the championship match. Because, a lot of times, especially in Japanese wrestling, you want to keep your champion strong. And again, I mentioned this last week. Saya Kamitani is like the newer, like the upgraded version of what Ric Flair did in the 80s. Back then, Ric Flair, cool heel. Saya Kamitani, cool heel, right? Great wrestler, next level wrestler, drew money. There's a lot of similarities with Ric Flair in the mid 80s and Saya Kamitani. And what Ric Flair did as your cool over heel in these tag matches that he had with the Horsemen versus whoever, he would always lose a fall. Steamboat, Sting, Dusty, Nikita Koloff, Luger, Barry Windham. I mean, the list goes on and on and on to the point you're like, okay, now you're getting the singles match. Sold out the Omni, sold out the places in Charlotte. They sold out everywhere because you thought you were going to see a new champion because Ric Flair knew how to lose. Saya Kamitani understands business. She knows how to lose. And again, I know some people disagree with me on social media, which is fine, but you can't argue with the numbers. She lost to Suzu, sold out Korakuen Hall. Lost to Tam a few times, sold out Korakuen Hall, 7,500 people in Yokohama. Lost to Sayaka Kurura, 1,500 people in Korakuen Hall. So it's working. Saya Kamitani is getting other people over close to her level and then beating them in these big championship matches that people are paying money to see. So again, the formula seems to be working. As long as in the formula, Kamitani, I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work, and they're just going to be building everything around her. But again, who are your other champions in the company? Starlight Kid, star. Syuri, you just mentioned it, star. Wing Gory, in my opinion, the best tag team in all of wrestling. May Sarah, geez, can you imagine a May Sarah versus Saya Kamitani red belt match? Sure, why not? There's a lot of people that they can start building up to Saya Kamitani to try to get her on that level. But again, and this is no disrespect to the rest of the Stardom roster, there's nobody in Stardom, there's nobody in Joshi, and maybe nobody in Japanese wrestling right now that has the buzz right now that Saya Kamitani does. She's on a completely another level. Again, not only as a character, but as a pro wrestler, drawing money, having great matches, and getting other people over in said thing. Sayaka Kurura, I think we'll get into it, obviously lost this match. She's on a completely different level that she was after the match than she was going in, and probably will never, ever come down to that level. And Saya Kamitani got her over in a loss. And a lot of credit does go to Sayaka Kurura because she knew she had to step up her game, and she sure did. She sure did, my friend.
Yeah, I do think there is certainly potential to have people step up, and I've just sort of mocked up based on last year's schedule, because post the end of June, there's not a lot of dates that are out there for Stardom. So looking at the conversion, during the interview that Saya gave, she did actually bring up one person in particular, and that person was Hanan, as sort of the lead babyface to go against her. Obviously, there's a lot of upheaval in Stars. Whether they will still be called Stars at that time, I don't know. But if you look at the conversion, don't forget that last year as well, Stardom ran a red belt match at the 5-Star Grand Prix final. They ran Tora versus Tam Nakano.
And who won?
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, doesn't matter. That's irrelevant, Matt.
Okay.
6 losses in the 5-Star Grand Prix,
Oh,
and then was given a title match.
No. I wipe your tears away on the Tam Road. Continue, good sir.
Yeah, full of potholes, that road. But if you do Hanan at the end of June, which I think, if you look last year, they ran Micah and Xena. And Xena was not a bona fide challenger by then, by any stretch of the imagination. And Xena actually, from that match, was elevated. And then, unfortunately, the injury happened.
And Drew, too. I think it drew like 1,200 people or something. It was a really good house they had for that. Yeah.
It was a good show from what I remember. I believe, was it FWC versus Wingori at that show as well?
Yep. And then, obviously, the Soriano versus Miko Wada. And then, obviously, Queen Sets versus Oedo Tai. That was a phenomenal
It was a great show. It was a great show.
Great show. And I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt, but you just mentioned Hanan, and I just remembered it. Last year's 5-Star Grand Prix, once towards the end of that tournament, Saya Kamitani started to understand quickly who her heel character was. And she had 2 matches with Hanan in the 5-Star, the one where Hanan beat her to qualify. She got points to qualify for the tiebreaker, and then Hanan and Saya obviously were in the semifinal. So those were 2 great matches. Hanan's a better wrestler now than she was a year ago, and Kamitani's a better wrestler now than she was a year ago. So, I got excited. I would love to see Hanan versus Saya Kamitani. That's another way to go. Yeah, so there is. I know a lot of people were saying there's not that many challengers out there. Hanan, Azumi, Natsupoi, Soriano. I mean, there's 4 right there as we're coming in and out of the 5-Star Grand Prix. So, good shout there, brother.
Yeah, I don't think it is people saying that there isn't a lack of challenges, because there's certainly a lot of challenges, and Stardom have proved that they have no issue in putting people in that position, as proved with the conversion last year when they put Xena in there. I think it is more a case of there's no one on the level of Saya Kamitani to step up and challenge like there was with a Tam. Tam was that level of star. You got Mayu, who you could heat up and who could just have banger match after banger match after banger match. You haven't got that anymore. You've got the history of a Micah with Saya Kamitani, and obviously Micah is a huge star, and you don't have that at the moment. I think it was more a case of you haven't got those stars to go against Saya Kamitani. Now, we know there's going to be great matches. And again, if you have Hanan challenge at the conversion, I absolutely think they'll do Azumi, but I would like to hold off on that. I think at the 5-Star final, and this obviously depends on who Saya Kamitani drops an L to, I think Saori would be a great shout there. Have Azumi at Namba Grand Fight. I know that last year they had the 5-Star Grand Prix winner basically shoot their shot there, and because Michael lost to Tam at Namba Grand Fight. I would have Azumi challenge there, have Natsupoi challenge in Nagoya, and then obviously at Dream Queendom, you've got one of 2 choices. You either have Momo Watanabe challenge if she wins the 5-Star Grand Prix, having face turned, and you've got all the history there, or if Micah is back by that point, I think that is where you slot in a Micah, because that is obviously your big match in lieu of everyone that's left. That is your star match. Now, obviously, a lot can change in 6 months. Someone can catch fire, lightning can be caught in a bowl, yada, 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 all those things. But there are matches there. I do agree that there's no one on Saya Kamitani's level, and there needs to be stars built. However, we've proven with Sayaka Kurura that good matches and a decent story, Stardom are more than capable of building stars. It might take a little bit of rebuilding. After all, we are navigating, as I mentioned, into uncertain waters, but I have every faith that Stardom will be able to navigate through it. And again, we talked about it last week. It's going to be a real test for Taro Okada. You know, he had an absolutely breathtaking end of 2024 into 2025. Could not put a foot wrong in terms of his booking. However, now you have got so many people that are either out of action because of injury or have left entirely. It's going to be interesting to see how you book it. It's the tale of the booker. How good you are is always measured by how you do when your back's against the wall. So I'm intrigued to know where he goes with that.
Rob, I'm going to throw another name out there because they've teased it, and she kind of even told us that she might not be done with Stardom. What about Mina Shirakawa? You run that back. Easy story to tell. Mina beat Saya Kamitani in the for the white belt. That's an easy story to tell. Again, they have that relationship with AEW, which kudos to Stardom. Really haven't been leaning on at all to draw on the two big shows between All Star Grand
Haven't needed them.
And Dream Queen, and which is crazy. And again, I had mentioned before, I'd love to see Sky Blue or Serena Deeb in there, but obviously you have that history with Mina and Saya Kamitani. So if you need a main event, you have a ready-made one there that's going to draw and is going to be fantastic. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, my friend. I'm excited to watch it, and we may as well podcast about it, right?
I think so. I have no issue with Sky Blue in the 5-star Grand Prix. I think we proved with Anna Jay last year that, you know, get some matches under her belt, get her working a couple of different styles, and it worked. Where I draw the line is if it is a straight shootout between giving Sky Blue a shot in that tournament or an Aya Sakura, I would want Aya Sakura over any AEW talent. And that's my thing with it. And that's why I'm so glad that we aren't leaning on AEW talent all the time. You know, we're parachuting in a Tony Storm, you know, once. You know, we've done Mercedes Moné once. Stardom have proved time and time and time again that they don't need that. Anyway, moving on, I just want to give a big shout out to the TakaTaichiMania 4 show that was run on the 7th of May at Korakuen Hall. And the reason I want to bring this up is because there is an absolutely fantastic match located in the middle of the card for the Just Tap Out Girls title. Azusa Inaba defeated Tomoka Inaba in 21 minutes and 2 seconds. Now, obviously, we know Azusa Inaba as a bratty teenager who is a part of Hate. And I think because she is a part of Hate and she's a part of this heel faction, her wrestling ability often gets overlooked because of her heel character, her heel persona. Jesus Christ, this match is fantastic. You forget just how good Azusa Inaba is. At 17 years old, she broke out a moonsault, for God's sake, to retain the belt over her older sister. She is a very, very special talent. We talked a lot about Tomoka Inaba being a special talent. Azusa Inaba, considering what, she's 2 years into her career, I believe, debuted the 3rd of March, 2023. 17 years old. She is a special, special talent, Matt.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I know you've been telling me about it. I'm going to have to give it a watch. I didn't know it got 20 minutes, which that's great. Obviously, time to tell their story. I saw some of the highlights on social media. It looks terrific. I'm definitely going to be going out of my way to see it. And kind of to go back to what we were just talking about, Rob, about building stars. What if on the same pay-per-view you had Tomoka versus Saya for the red and Azusa versus Starlight Kid for the wonder? So you can build it as, will the sisters come out as champions? That's a very good possibility you can do there as well. And who wouldn't want to see their matches? But yeah, I heard it was terrific. I did see some of the kicks, and you can tell that maybe somebody at a Christmas a handful of years ago may have eaten the last Santa Claus cookie or drank the last little bit of eggnog because yikes.
Yeah, no one hits each other like a brother and sister or a sister and sister. They did just brutalize each other, but it was a great match. So if you haven't already seen it, definitely go out of your way to check that out. Just last bit of news, and this sort of segues nicely into the two shows that we're going to be talking about today. The full Stardom Night in Korakuen show from the 21st of May has been announced, but the reason I bring this up is because we have got 2 new rookies who will be debuting on that show. They were first introduced to the crowd at New Blood 9, though we didn't have their names at that point, or when they'd be debuting. It was just told to us by President Okada that they had passed their protest. However, at the Korakuen Hall show on the 11th, they were reintroduced to the crowd as I'm trying to look through my notes. There we go, as An Toyoshima and Mai Matsuda. and they will be debuting on the 21st of May at that Stardom Korakuen show. Mai Matsuda will be taking on Azumi, and Ann Toyoshima will be taking on Hanan. We'll go through the rest of that card when we preview the upcoming shows at the end of the podcast, but I just wanted to bring up two new rookies for Stardom that will be debuting soon. Obviously, we are still without Ann Kanai, and we are still without Motoi Hamabe as well, who did go out for food with Starlight Kid recently, so it looks like she's in good spirits. So hopefully we will see her soon. But with that, Matt, I feel like it would be remiss if we didn't start talking about some of these shows. And we start on the 9th of May live on Stardom World and on YouTube for New Blood 21. This was from Shinkiba First Ring. The attendance 268 people. Now, though a decrease from New Blood 20, which drew 296, it's still the second highest attended New Blood event since New Blood 15 in September 2024. It is also a 5.63% increase. No, decrease. I was right. Sorry, can't read. From the last time the company ran Shinkiba First Ring, which was for the finals of the New Year Unit League, which was the 23rd of January, drew 284 for that. Now, that decrease from New Blood 20 does come with the caveat of the fact that there was no Saya Kamitani on this card. There was no Tam Nakano on this card, as there was for New Blood 20. And of course, there was a title match on that card, which there wasn't on this one. So lots of things to take into account. Just an injury roll call, and this is the same for Korakuen. Amisori remains out, Xena remains out, Maika remains out, Motoi Hamabe, Ann Kanai, and Momo Watanabe all currently out with injury. In terms of the results, then, we open with a singles match. Kira Kurugane defeating Uriah Hemi with a bridging half-hatch suplex in 7 minutes and 28 seconds to secure her first ever singles victory. Tag team match, the Cosmic Angels team of Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurura defeated Sarin and Asuka Goda making her Stardom debut, with Aya Sakura submitting Goda with the modified triangle choke in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. In a singles match that was quite honestly my match of the show, Yuna Mizumori defeated Soy in 11 minutes and 31 seconds. 6-woman tag team match, the Diana team of Himiko, Yuma Makota, and Mizuka Kato defeated the EXV team of Waka Tsukiyama, Hanako, and Rian. Mizuki Kato pinning Rian with a diving body press in 12 minutes and 8 seconds. In the semi-main event, tag team action, Mike Rozaki and Yuna Manas defeated the God's Eye team of Lady C and Rana Yagami. Mike Rozaki pinning Ron Yagami with the Argentine Buster in 12 minutes and 42 seconds. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag team action, the God's Eye team of Hina, Tomoka Inaba, and the newly renamed Nanami Hatano defeated the Hate team of Rina, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Death. Hina getting the pinfall over Fukigen Death with the mad splash in 15 minutes and 17 seconds. Matt, we start with the two rookies, Akira Kurugane and Uriah Himi. Akira Kurugane, the first to get a singles victory, and you could see what it meant to her in this match. But I thought, all in all, this was a very, very good match and speaks to the talent that both these two women have. And again, two little diamonds in the rough, I feel, that Stardom have found.
Yeah, and again, they're putting a lot of stock in Akira. She's in the new faction, Living La Vida Loca, by the way, folks. You can see my head movement going on there. So it made the win, but this was a great way to start this show. And I do want to say, we make mention all the time that these New Blood shows should go to the smaller venues. I think they should do it in Shinkiba every show, because you're doing around like 260, 270 people, loud crowd, really intimate venue. I believe the venue of the very first Stardom show was in Shinkiba, if I have that right, Rob.
Shinkiba First Ring is the venue that Stardom have run the most. 212 times they've ran Shinkiba First Ring. They haven't run it anywhere near as often as they usually do, though. They seem to have outgrown it somewhat recently. But just as a little bit of a to sort of piggyback onto your point, New Blood 22 is on the 4th of June, and that is going to be from Tokyo Square in Itabashi, which is that sort of purpose-made wrestling venue that they opened at the start of the year. So that's going to be a really good venue that I really do like for the New Blood shows, because that really is sort of what you are looking at in terms of a New Blood show. But do continue, good sir.
Yeah, but no, this is a great opener. Again, these two obviously know each other really well. They've had the exhibition matches, their first matches. They obviously graduated at the same time of the Stardom Dojo. This was a solid way to start this show. A little under 8 minutes to tell their stories. A nice back and forth. You had a little bit of everything. You had your chain wrestling to start. You had Akira really grinding Uriah down with the headlock. Uriah coming back with the big boots and the forearms. Akira coming down, or coming with her come back with those series of drop kicks. A really good, just awesome back and forth. Eventually, it's that beautiful bridging half-couch suplex from Akira, getting the win. And again, obviously, this is very big for her, as she is in now not only a faction, but a new faction with Suzuki, who's obviously terrific. So made sense for her to get the win here as we're starting to build her up, give her some momentum in the new faction. I had this at 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was great, even though Uriah eats an L here. I thought she looked terrific.
Moving on then to a tag team match, Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurura defeating Saren and sorry, just as I get my notes up because I've lost them because I accidentally shut them down. There we go. Asuka Goda. I thought this was decent. I thought Saren looked good in this. What did you think about Asuka Goda and her Stardom debut?
I thought this was great, having former NXT champion, former Royal Rumble winner Asuka making her debut in Stardom. You know, it's been a long time coming. I've been sitting on that one for a week, buddy. I've been sitting on that one for a week. No, I thought she was great. I thought, obviously, we've seen Saran before. She fits in really well on these New Blood shows. I always love seeing different talent and younger talent from different companies mixing it up with the Stardom wrestlers and the younger Stardom wrestlers. I thought they worked really well as a team with Aya and Sayaka. Again, these are two wrestlers that clearly Stardom is putting a lot of stock, a lot of investment are in. They've had, again, we're going to get into it, great singles matches in Korakuen Hall, wrestling the best of the best in Stardom, not only hanging, but giving really memorable moments in said match. And here, the two of them as a tag team, fantastic. And we did see them at the end of last year, how well Aya and Sayaka were as a tag team. And then they put Aya and Yuna as a team as Sakura Jamon, and they were terrific. Ultimately, another solid match, you know, two great matches in a row to start off this New Blood show. I had this one, partner, at 4 stars. It was my second favorite match of this show. And again, the team of Asuka and Saran, fantastic. But to me, this was all about the Cosmic Angels duo of Sayaka and Aya, building them up for that Korakuen Hall match.
Move on to a singles match, which was quite literally the definition of a Hoss battle. Yuna Mizumori and Soy taking their power battle all around Shinkiba first ring, into the ring, on the apron, on the floor, on the stage. I love this match. I thought it was great. It was completely different to everything else on the card. And again, Yuna Mizumori, every time she's given that tap on the shoulder, she delivers. I thought Soy looked really good here. These two just had a really good connection in the ring. If you are pressed for time, it is 100% one that I would recommend going out of your way to see on this card, Matt. It was my favorite on the show.
Yeah, I agree. This was my favorite match of the show. It really seemed like it's like, okay, well, the finish is going to be going over with the half crab at about the 11-minute mark. And it's like, all right, we'll see you out there. Because they start off with a test of strength. They did a chop exchange. They get a shoulder tackle exchange. They get a big brawl. I mean, it really seemed like a lot of this was probably just called out in the ring, which when you know how to do that, it's really an art form in itself. And these two, you're right, had really good chemistry, hard hitting, right up my alley, really good back and forth 50-50 that eventually Yuna is able to take out the knee of Soy, really start grinding it down, using her power to attack that one limb, and then locking in the half crab for the finish. Again, simple story to tell. Yuna has been on a tear ever since after All-Star Grand Queendom, really, really upping her stock. That singles match with Starlight Kid. She was in that New Japan match, teaming with Starbomb against FCCC. So Stardom definitely sees a lot in Yuna Mizumori, and this is the perfect time to start pushing newer talent, fresher talent. And Yuna's hitting home run after home run, and I couldn't be more happier for her, because I know over the last 2 years, there's probably been no wrestler in all of wrestling that has improved as much as Yuna Mizumori. And again, home run here, my favorite match from the show, 4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, fantastic match. We then had the Diana team going over EXV, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about, because what is the future of EXV at the moment without Micah? It really does speak to the real lack of depth in EXV at the moment. Mina Shirakawa having left to go to AEW, Micah out with a long-term injury, Xena out with a long-term injury, and obviously there's been no time frame given for Xena. They really are short in terms of what they can do, and that became readily apparent here in this match against the Diana trio.
Yeah, no, me and you were texting the other day, and we were trying to figure out who the leader of EXV is. I think it's Walker, and you think it's Rian, because she has a new
Yeah,
gang sign. She has a new gang
absolutely.
sign, which is weird because none of us have even mentioned Hanako, who's challenging for the white belt here in just a couple of days. We're like, yeah, she's okay, but is it Waka or is it Rian? So, folks, let us know who you think the new leader of EXV is. This was a solid enough match. Again, it's nice seeing different talent mix it up with the Stardom wrestlers. And it was nice seeing EXV all banded as one in this match. Obviously, we have Rice or Bread, your new blood tag team champions, or should be known as Wanako. And then Moonlight Fantasy,
Yes.
Waka and Rian, who they have a big match coming up. I believe that match is in Cork and Hall with Saori, which we'll preview at the end of the show. So I'm super excited for that match. Again, this very well because you did have the new blood tag team champions eating an L on this match. So there's a possibility we may see some outsiders challenging for those new blood tag team champions. It's a possibility. You set up the story here. I thought Rihanna was terrific. Obviously, Himiko, she's really, really good. You did see a lot of power based on Hanako. And some really good teamwork from the EXV trio. I wouldn't mind if with a proper build, maybe them challenging Neo Genesis for the artist belts in a month or two, because I think that would be a really, really interesting and fun match. Ultimately, though, Rob, another solid match. I had this at 3.5 stars.
Just speaking about EXV and speaking specifically about Micah, obviously Stardom are currently in the process of running their Golden Project, which is basically a reality TV show where they are looking to get rookies. You've got judges. The judges, I believe, are Saki Kashima, Syuri, and Micah. And they were asking them, I think there are others as well, but those are the three that stand out. And they asked all of them basically, what are you looking for in a rookie? And all of them gave really, really in-depth answers, apart from Micah, who literally said the phrase, I want them to be 20 and be able to drink. Brilliant. Excellent stuff, Micah.
Yes.
That's my Empress. That is my Empress.
I'll teach you the rest of the wrestling stuff later, kid. That'll come with us in the Stardom tour bus.
If she can't down a Sapporo beer, then what is she even doing in a ring?
Rob, can we start calling Micah? Obviously we're going to keep Micah relevant as much as we can over the next 6 months while she's out with injury, because one, we love her and she's fantastic. But I think we should start referencing her as the Dick Murdoch of Stardom. I think that's a good fit. Whether you're drinking of the beer, come on, kid, I'll take you under my wing. You know what I mean? Well, don't worry about how old are you? You're not old enough to drink. That's okay. We'll give you a fake ID. Like, to me, that seemed like Micah is the Dick Murdoch of Stardom, which is a compliment because I love me some Dickie Murdoch.
Well, I'm going to have to say this about Saki Kashima as well, because this really made me laugh. She had a fan, I think it's her birthday today as we record the 15th of May, and she did like a fan thing. And she put out on Twitter, so excited I couldn't sleep. Well, actually, I did sleep. Actually, I slept really well. Actually, I think I'm going to be late. I overslept. She's brilliant. I love Saki Kashima. Moving on then to the semi-main event, another really, really good match. God's Eye team of Ronnie Yagami and Lady C versus Micro Ozaki and Yuna Manas. First time we've seen Yuna Manas in a Stardom ring in a very, very long time. Matt, what did you think of this duo? And what did you think of the partnership of Lady C and Ronnie Yagami as well?
Great stuff. Lady C and Rana. Obviously, Rana teams quite a bit with Syuri and Tomoka Inaba. Lady C, we've been seeing her team up with Hina as part of Team Classroom, and plus they came over from after the Queen's Quest being dissolved. At least for now. Who knows? I thought they were, again, these new blood shows you trying new things, and that worked really well together. And again, Yuna, terrific. Mike Ozaki, great. I know. Is it Yuna that's retiring soon? I think it's one of the members on the non-Stardom team. I think they announced their retirement. Do I have that right? Did Yuna Manas announce her retirement?
Oh, I don't know. Let me just double check.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll keep on rapping because I thought I could have sworn that when I was writing my notes, I'm like, is that the Yuna Manas that announced her retirement? And I
Oh
could be right.
no, it's not her. It's Yuka Miyazaki
Ah,
from Wave.
so a U and an M as initials. So I knew I was somewhat close, buddy. There's been so many darn announcements of retirements. I
Oh
can't
God,
take it
hasn't
any
there
I
just?
can't take it anymore. Great match again, Unit and Micah. They're two of the and again, what I like about these new blood shows is some of these wrestlers that come over that aren't starting wrestlers. I don't know too much of them or know a little bit about them, but Yuna and Micah, I know quite a bit of, and I thought they gelled in really well. We'll love to see them more on the new blood cards. We'd love to see them on proper Stardom shows. Would love to see them against an FWC. Would love to see them against a Devil Princess. Would love to see them against a Wanako or Rice or Bread, however you want to call it, because they worked really well. Lady C continues to impress. And you know what, Rob? Shame on us because we've been talking these last 2 or 3 shows about wrestlers needing to step up. You got Lady C right there. We've been singing her praises for quite some time, especially in that qualifier for the 5-star Grand Prix with Momo Kogo that she didn't win. We were like, man, there's a spot that opens up for the 5-star. We know, and they give Lady C an opportunity. We know that she would smash it out of the park because she takes advantage of every single second she's in the ring. I thought she was terrific here, getting great chemistry with her and Rana, and I would love to see this partnership of Ozaki and Yuna back in the Stardom ring and the Stardom ring proper. Terrific match. 3 3/4 stars. Great job building up Lady C because she looked like an absolute killer in this match, but ultimately it was Ozaki pinning Rana with that beautiful, basically like her version of the Razor's Edge, like a torture rack, torture rack bomb. I had it 3 3/4 stars. Great stuff.
Well, we did wonder if they were going to put some steam behind Lady C because she had a fantastic outing alongside Rana and Tomoka Inaba for the artist belts. If you remember at Korakuen Hall, it's a fantastic match, and Lady C was the MVP of that match. And then they sort of again quieted her down and quietly bumped her back down the card. So again, there are obviously spaces opening up at the top of the card. Lady C is someone that is established, someone that certainly would be able to step up. She's one that I would have liked to have seen get a white belt shot ahead of Hanako, simply because I think she's got more experience in that sort of main event scene. But again, Hanako might come out on the 21st of May, absolutely prove me wrong and put in a 5.5-star match. So again, I'm holding off judgment. Moving on to the main event, then God's Eye versus Hate. Matt, what did you think of this?
Well, I'm gonna throw it back to you. What did you think about Fuki and Death being in the main event, but eating an L? Like, are you okay with that?
I have sung the praises of Taro Okada for his booking style. This was an absolute travesty of justice. This was offensive to all us Fuki and Deathites out there. We tried to gloss over the fact that Fuki and Death had eaten a pinfall by pitting 2 sets of sisters together and, doing that emotional thing there. But no. Don't think I haven't noticed that Fuki and Death has been disrespected here. And I think that's the key thing here. She was disrespected by being put away by Hina and the Mad Splash. And it's a great Mad Splash. Don't get me wrong. Perfect form. But you don't put away Fuki and Death in the main event. Absolutely devastating, Matt Turner.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't win them all, but yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe I don't know, man. That's just we're still wondering. I mean, again, we're at WrestleMania at the end. Everybody's waiting for The Rock. Me and you were waiting for Fuki and Death. But anywho, I guess let's get somewhat back on track. Yeah, this match was great, and you knew it was going to be really fun when the Inaba sisters started to square off. And again, I'll probably maybe after dinner I'll pull up the old iPad and watch said match that you sung the praises of from back at the that show from New Japan. Really great. You had a lot. You know what, Rob? Now that I'm thinking about it, is Nanami and Fukin Death sisters? Because you have Hina and Rina sisters, Tomoka Azusa sisters. Yeah, I'm looking at this graphic. I'm trying to put the face paint on Nanami, they may be sisters. Anywho, that's purely speculation, my friend. Purely speculation. Match was really good. Obviously, the sister combinations worked really well together. Tomoka and Rina have really great chemistry together, and that can be, in a year or two, a massive feud for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Really solid stuff there. There's definitely something there with Hina and Azusa Inaba. That can be a really big future Stardom Championship match coming somewhere down the line because there's great chemistry there. And Azusa did do a good job getting the better of Hina on set exchanges. Manami, she works really well. She works really well when she's the satellite member of God's Eye. They put her in tag matches, 6-person, 8-person. I thought her stuff with Rina was really next level, maybe the highlight of said match. Ultimately, though, Rob, it happened. Sorry to say it. Let's remove it like a Band-Aid. Mad splash for Fukin Death for the 3 count. 4 stars for me. A really solid show. As far as this show goes from start to finish, this was very much like the last 2 New Blood shows. Really solid stuff. Like, there's no match of the year candidate here, but I had 2 matches at 4 stars and a couple at 3 and 3/4. It's a really, really solid, enjoyable show with some top level wrestling.
Something of a hot take from me. I do not understand why we have the New Blood shows. We have a Future of Stardom champion and namesake tag team champions who are on the card but not defending the belt. I really don't understand what the thought process is here, because you could quite easily have had Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama defend against anyone on this card. There doesn't even need to be a story. You could just have a title match. And we've talked about how, again, we seem to be flattening out at around about 260, 270 for these shows. You've literally got Tomoka Inaba and Nanami in the main event. Why not have them challenge for the belt? You've got any number of people that can challenge Hina for the Future of Stardom Championship. You got Azusa Inaba literally across the ring from her. Have Azusa Inaba challenge Hina. I don't understand why these titles are still a thing if they're not going to be defended on New Blood shows, because the New Blood shows are a monthly thing. Have them defended once a month. And I'm just going to have a quick look now at the championship history for the New Blood tag titles. So in terms of, they've held the belts for 140 days, Rice or Bread. They've defended them twice. Devil Princess held them for 156 days, defended them twice. Bloody Fate held them for 188 days, defended them twice. Wingori hold the most title defenses, but they held the belts for nearly 300 days, and they only defended them 4 times. I don't understand why they are still a thing if they're not going to be defended, because at the moment it does feel like they are merely props for Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama. And I feel like, they proved on New Blood 20 against Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori, which was a great match. Why are we not having these belts defended more on the New Blood shows, especially when that's the whole point? The New Blood shows are supposed to be about blooding new wrestlers, or wrestlers that aren't necessarily getting the big opportunities at regular Stardom shows. Why not defend the belts here? Why not give Hina the platform to showcase how good she is? Why not give Rice or Bread or Wanako the opportunity to defend every single New Blood show? That's what it should be. That's why these cards should exist, because ultimately, otherwise, these are just house shows, irrelevant of the good match quality, because again, it's Stardom. That's what we expect at this point, rather spoiltly. But I don't understand why, Hina versus Soy. Who wouldn't want to see that? There doesn't need to be a story. I want your belt. Okay, that should be it. Have, even if it's every other show, but it doesn't even feel like it's that at the moment. I mean, again, Hina's held the belt for 80 days and has defended it twice. Like, you have New Blood shows every month. We had 2 in April. So, again, a complaint from me, and perhaps me moaning a little bit, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
No, you're right, buddy. And again, it's a business. Championship matches, and they are props. The belts, they are props, but they should be treated seriously because championship matches draw money. They're going to draw money. Not only that, but you're putting this free on YouTube. And you may have somebody that may be looking around and you might just be like, yeah, I'll watch this because there's a championship match on it, whether they watch Stardom or not, or they're a casual watcher, or they're just a watcher of wrestling. You're like, oh, championship match. Let me see what this is about. Championship matches draw money. They draw views. And again, look at the biggest. You look in sports. You look at the UFC. What are the biggest drawing pay-per-views? Championship matches. What are the biggest drawing stuff that you watch in sports? The Super Bowl, because it's for a championship. The big game for the World Series, the big game for the NBA championship, because the World Cup, because they are for championships. They're for a piece of hardware. They are fighting for something. They are playing for something. So you're absolutely right. They're already on the card. It's not like, well, how come Hina didn't defend the belt? Well, because she was doing something with Stardom, or she was over here, or she was in, Catch the Wave tournament. No, you're absolutely right. They're right there. And I mentioned how great her and Azusa were in this match. They have really good chemistry. We've seen them in different tag matches throughout Stardom have really great chemistry. Yeah, why not pay it off here on a New Blood show, free on YouTube? It's a free commercial to show how great the young talent are on Stardom. So I completely agree with you. These belts should be defended on every one of these New Blood shows. Now, I'm not saying get a white belt match or a red belt match on there, but you're right. There's no reason why the future shouldn't be defended, or even the high speed from time to time. Why not? Or you're bringing in this other talent from other companies. Why not have, the Sendai Girls Junior Championship on the show, or whatever the Diana Championship is, or the Pro Wrestling Wave? Because you're bringing them over. Make them championship matches, because championship matches draw intrigue, which in return draw money, which draw views. Views draw sponsorship. So it's all right there. It is a missed opportunity. As good as the shows have been from a wrestling aspect, and you're right, it's Stardom, and maybe we are a little bit spoiled, but you're already there. You may as well go the extra mile and make extra money.
Yeah, again, it's just a small gripe, and I just feel like, again, if they weren't being used on the card, then fine, don't defend the belts. But Hina, like, you've got Akira Kuragani and Uriah Himi. Like, literally, just have them pitch a challenge. They don't have to win, obviously, but there's plenty of talent that you could be using in these championship matches. Anyway, that being said, let's move on to the Korakuen Hall show that Stardom ran on the 11th of May. Stardom in Korakuen 2025. Lots of good things from this. The announced attendance inside Korakuen Hall was 1,503, with this being touted by the company as a legitimate sellout. Now, this continues the trend of 13 of the last 14 Korakuen Hall shows to exceed 1,000 people, including the last 9 shows in a row. Not only is the announced attendance of 1,503 a 37.14% increase on the previous house of 1,096 on April 24th, but it also makes it the third of the last 5 Stardom Korakuen Hall shows to sell out entirely. An even more impressive feat when you consider that prior to Supreme Fight 2025 on February 2nd, the company hadn't sold out Korakuen Hall since January 2020. So to go from January 2020 without a sellout, and then to sell out 3 of the last 5, really, really good stuff from Stardom. A couple more notable misses. Lady C missed this show in order to take part in the Kyushu Pro Wrestling show celebrating the retirement of Mentai Kid in Fukuoka. She was in a 6-person tag where she teamed with, of all people, Tajiri and Ultimo Dragon. So what a team that is. Azumi obviously missed the show as she was still in the United States after her successful quest for gold. All of the injuries that I mentioned before still stood. However, Meisera and Hanan both returned from injury to take part on this show, which was their first appearances since All-Star Grand Queendom. 2 titles being defended on this show: the World of Stardom Championship. Saya Kamitani had been champion for 133 days, with this being her 3rd title defense. Of course, Sayaka Kurura, the challenger, using her Cinderella tournament win to parlay that into a championship shot. This is the first time since 2017 that the Cinderella tournament winner has opted to challenge for the red belt rather than the white belt. And of course, that person was Toni Storm, back in 2017. Every single person since has challenged for the white belt. Current singles record between Kamitani and Kurura is 3-0 in Kamitani's favor. And as we know, Kurura made her debut against Saya Kamitani at New Blood 12 on Christmas Day 2023. In terms of the results, then, let's go through them. 8-woman tag opened the show. And of course, we opened with Mavida Loca. Suzu Suzuki, Rina Yamashita, Itsuki Aoki, and Akira Kuragani defeating the EXV team of Hanako, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rian, and Uriah Hemi, Akira Kuragani, topping off a great weekend by pinning Rian with the bridging half-hatch suplex in 10 minutes and 24 seconds. 6-woman tag team match followed. Cosmic Angels, Sayori, Anou, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Death with a pinfall reversal in 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Yuna, again, pinning Fukigen Death, but we won't talk about that. It's fine. 10-woman tag. Stars team of Han and Sayurida, Hazuki, Koguma, and Momokogo defeated the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Tomoka Inaba, Rani Yagami, Hina, and Kyoka Katatsu, who also returned to action. Hanan pinning Rani Yagami with the backdrop hold in 11 minutes and 26 seconds, but that is quite literally only half the story coming out of that match. Singles match followed. Syuri defeated Aya Sakura with the Suzaku in 12 minutes and 19 seconds. In a 6-woman tag team match, Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, and Harukuru Masaki, who makes a return to a Stardom ring. Nice to see her again, defeating the Hate team of Konami, Rina, and Ruaka. Starlight Kid pinning Konami with a moonsault in 10 minutes and 58 seconds. Your semi-main event saw the CMLL Japan Women's Championship defended. Luvia, the champion, defeating Mei Seira with a La Magistral Cradle in 9 minutes and 40 seconds. And then in your main event, World of Stardom Championship match, Saya Kamitani, the champion, making her third successful title defense against the Cinderella tournament, Sayaka Kurura, with, a Star Crusher in 22 minutes. So, Matt, we will start with the opener, team of Waka Tsukiyama, Rian, Hanako, and Uriah Hemi, losing to Mavida Loca.
I nailed that point that at the same time you ended the music, buddy. We were in sync there and didn't even mean to be. That was great.
I will say, unfortunately, on YouTube, I am unfortunately not allowed to play it, so that is purely for podcast listeners because of copyright. So if you don't want to hear it and you just want to watch Matt dancing like an idiot without music, it'll be muted on YouTube, so please feel free.
Did you get an email, or you just took a precautionary on it?
No, I just got a message to say we couldn't monetize the episode because of copyright infringement. So it just gives me the option to mute the music. So podcast listeners, you get that lovely little in-joke, which I know really annoys some people, but genuinely makes me laugh. But YouTube viewers, unfortunately, you just get Matt dancing like an idiot to absolute silence.
Rob Napster Goodwin for all you folks from the late 90s. Good
Absolutely.
for you. That's awesome, buddy. I tell you what, you gotta buck the trend, my man. I know we're known as the nice guys with Joshi. Every now and again, we gotta buck the trend. Now, the fact that you got a message that was like, I'm gonna imagine that you got that message from Ricky Martin personally. So
yes, absolutely.
That's the way I'm gonna go about it.
But yeah, what did you think of this, brother?
This was fine. I gave it 3.25 stars. It's a good way to start the show. What this really was you're just introducing Living La Vida Loca. That's what I'm going to call them. Living La Vida Loca as a faction here, because you have your 4 members and you're getting them almost like a dominant win. Like Hanako looked good here, and there's a reason to when we talk about one of the in a little bit we talk about the 6-person tag. Again, Hanako was dominant, but it was a lot of really kind of a beat down on the Waka, on Rian, on Uriah Hemi, because you're introducing this new faction as a bunch of killers. I'll tell you what, Rob, I knew that Suzu's new group was going to pick up the win here, but having Akira get the win, I was like, that's interesting. I like it. Again, she won on New Blood with the half-out suplex. Great move. Very well executed. Very well built up. And she gets it here, and Suzu looked generally happy. Generally happy that she got the win, like hugged her, like, yeah, all right, let's build her up. Great stuff here. A really good outing here for La Vida Loca. Solid enough stuff. Again, 3.25 stars for me.
Yeah, it does surprise me that they didn't give Hanako the win here, especially as she is challenging for the white belt on the next Korakuen Hall show. But again, considering what we get with the Artist of Stardom Championships later on, as Matt decides to destroy the set, I think it's important that we obviously give La Vida Loca the victory. What I did think was impressive, though, was that it was Akira Kuragani who got the win, and it wasn't over Uriah Himi, it was over Rian. So again, clearly a lot of stock being put in Akira Kuragani, which is why she should have challenged for the Future of Stardom Championship, but that is by the by.
Well, you know why they pinned Rian, right?
Because she was drunk, I imagine.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to say that, but I think you're right. I like the strategy. No, the half-house suplex. Rihanna's the smallest person, easier to get up. You know what I mean? Phew, it's a cooler looking bump. That's why Chihiro Hashimoto's going to be throwing Natsupoi around in 2 weeks. It's going to look really cool. But I can think about that. Maybe she was drunk. Maybe she was. Who knows?
It's the Micah influence, I tell you. Just slowly but surely corrupting these young wrestlers. We move on then to a 6-woman tag. Obviously, we did have the introduction of the rookies that I mentioned earlier, with us having Mai Matsuda and Ann Toyoshima officially introduced to the crowd after being introduced at New Blood 9, and their debut matches being confirmed for the 21st of May. But following that, Cosmic Angels versus their hate team of Natsuko Tora, Fukigen Death, and Azusa Inaba. And once again, Matt, we had the absolute disrespect of the hate clown being pinned. But that being said, Yuna Mizumori getting another pinfall, and I am more than happy about that.
Does it soften the blow that it was Yuna getting the win because that's the person?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And does it soften the blow that Saori was in this match with the funniest wrestler in all of Stardom that nobody knows about, Natsuko Tora and Azusa Inaba? Does that soften the blow a little bit for you?
It does make me laugh, the levels of kayfabe for Natsuko Tora, because again, she wanders in and she just looks like she would beat you up for looking at her, and then you go and talk to her and she's a goof in the best sort of way. She's great. But yes to all of your questions.
Okay, great match. 3.25 stars. I wish it got a little bit more time because of the 6 wrestlers you have in this. But not only that, the combination. You have Saori, you have Natsupoi and Yuna. And obviously, if you remember when everybody last year from Cosmic Angels was injured, it was just Yuna and Soriano. They made a great makeshift tag team. So again, solid enough stuff. I just wish it went a little bit more than 8 minutes. The best part of this match was Azusa Inaba and Natsupoi. And again, Natsupoi is somebody you can tap in for a big white belt match, a big red belt match. Hopefully, we do get a Saya Kamitani versus Natsupoi World of Stardom Championship match because that'll be all sorts of great. But Azusa Inaba really took Natsupoi to task here. Again, you're shining up your young wrestler. And Azusa Inaba, as you mentioned before, partner, I think just 17 years old. Heat on Natsupoi. Again, Hate does a great job cutting the ring off. Yeah, Fukigen Death with the comedy. Eventually, hot tag to Soriano. She comes in and does what she does, and just is a ball of fire. Just so precise, so crisp at everything. Eventually, she gets cut down, but then Yuna comes in. She cleans house. We get some really great stuff with Yuna and Natsuko Tora. Eventually, everything spills out, and we get this little mini match with Yuna Mizumori outsmarting the clown. I mean, sometimes, again, can't win them all. Basically, out clowning the clown with the O'Connor roll. Again, 3.25 stars. Solid match. It's always great seeing Saori as a team, whether it's a straight up tag or they're mixed in with a Yuna or an Aya. Great stuff. But again, partner, for me, there is a big money match coming somewhere down the line with Natsupoi and Azusa Inaba because they had flawless chemistry in this match.
Again, we've talked about the 5-star Grand Prix, and obviously we are getting closer and closer to the announcements, at least, of the participants and the blocks, which I imagine will probably come at the conversion.
I started dancing. I was like, once you did that pause, I was like, like Pavlov's dog. I was like, oh, here it comes. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, it's going to come at the Living La Vida Loca. But I would love to see Azusa Inaba given a shot in the 5-star. Alongside Sayaka, Kurura, and Sakura, who I think are absolute shoo-ins. I think Yuna Mizumori will make a return as well because she was fantastic in that first tournament. But Azusa Inaba, I think, has done more than enough alongside Rina to be given a shot. I think Rina is, the biggest shoo-in out of everyone that I've just mentioned, but I'd love to see Azusa Inaba making an appearance as well, especially if, again, we're doing 4 blocks of 7, 28 competitors. And again, you look at who is missing: Micah, Mayu, Tam, presumably Anna, Jay. You've got all these people missing that aren't going to be part of the tournament. Tekla. There's definitely spots to be opened up. So I'm intrigued by that. Moving on, we had Stars versus God's Eye, and Matt. Much as I love Stars, much as I love all of these wrestlers in the ring, this wasn't about the match. This was about the splintering of Stars. FWC officially leaving Stars, basically saying the reasons were twofold. A change in philosophy, basically, between Hazuki and Hanan, philosophical differences. Obviously, Hazuki's being that she wants to hit people really hard. Hanan being she doesn't want to hit people as hard, and FWC's desire to do more work outside of Stardom. Those are the main reasons behind Hazuki and Koguma splitting from Stars. Now, this does leave Stars as a trio: Hanan, Sayurida, and Momo Kogo. Again, whether the name Stars endures or not, we've seen that the current regime at Stardom have basically got rid of any factions that weren't bought in by them. I imagine this will probably be another example of that. There was rumors going around that I don't think the translation of Taro Okada's interview helped, that Hazuki and Koguma were leaving Stardom. And Hazuki in particular, has sort of tried to put to bed the fact that they are going to be leaving Stardom. They're not leaving Stardom. They are doing more work outside of Stardom, like we saw them doing with the Oz Academy Tag Team Championships. Whether we are seeing more in the US or seeing more international stuff from FWC, I don't know, but they are spreading their wings and doing that. And apparently this has come after Mayu left as well. So whether that's kayfabe or not, I don't know. But interesting times in the world of Stars, Matt. And again, I know that you're of the same opinion as me that Stars as a name will probably be quietly discontinued as we continue with our faction shift that we are undergoing at the moment. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, because Stars is quintessentially linked to Mayu Iwatani.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like trying to have the 4 horsemen without Ric Flair,
Exactly.
And they never did that. But you're right. I mean, as great as a lot of these Stars factions were over the years, I mean, you had Tam come from there, Risa Hoshinki, obviously Hanan's rise the last few years is underneath the Stars banner. Hazuki, when she came back, we didn't know where she was going to go. She went, and then the Stars pretty much recruited her. You're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it is all about Mayu, and again, Mayu, as she's Stars. Is it a possibility that they try it with a little bit from Hanan and see what happens? Sure. You don't know. Maybe it sticks for a little bit, and then maybe 2 or 3 months they change it. I mean, who knows? They'll stay under the Stars banner for now until they come up with maybe a better option. And that better option might be in a week. It might be in 6 months. We don't know. But regardless, partner, you're absolutely right. A lot to unpack from this match. This match was great. Hazuki versus Tomoka Inaba violence. I got Kyona Katatsu. Love to see her back. She was great. Her stuff with Saida was terrific. The FWC teamwork, not only the FWC teamwork, but I knew, kind of going into this match, this was going to be the breakup of FWC from Stars. Like, it's clearly planned. It's right in front of you. It kind of, it needs to be done. Halfway through the match, I was like, maybe not, because boy, everybody in the Stars, they were all working well together. I mean, great cohesive teamwork. I was like, oh, maybe we're going to stay as these 5 people as Stars. And then Hanan basically kind of was like, almost kicked FWC out. Koguma was very receptive, was like, okay, I understand. I'm going to go with Hazuki. Thank you for your time. Gave everybody hugs. And Hazuki was like, no, you can go, pound sand. And I really like that because that fits like Hazuki's new edge.
She really did peace out, did she? But it was like the Goddess Stardom Championship match at All Star Grand Queendom. Like Koguma shook Sayurida's hand, and Hazuki could not have pieced out of that ring quicker. And again, that sort of you're absolutely right, plays into that wild heart character.
Yeah. Another thing too, and I was just thinking about this the other day, and I'm glad I have this forum to talk about it, is now that at least, again, we're going to call them stars because they're stars. You have Hanan, Saida, Momo Kogo. They're just a trio for now. Maybe this is the opportunity to start pushing Momo Kogo up the card as well, because stars are the oldest faction in Stardom, regardless of who's in charge, which obviously is Hanan, rightfully so. But this might be the time to start pushing Momo Kogo up the ladder, and maybe, Rob, they win the Artists of Stardom championships. Can you imagine how great a match with Wingori and Momo Kogo versus Starbomb and Miyu Amasaki would be, especially in like a packed Korakuen Hall, if that's the way they do it, or they do it at the conversion, which they probably won't, because Starlight Kid will probably be defending the white belt. But regardless, this is the time to push Momo Kogo. And she's been delivering very much like we talked about a Lady C, delivering in every opportunity when it's possible. So again, I thought this was a great match. My third favorite match from the show. I gave it 4 stars. But you're absolutely right. It was all about the breakup of stars. And I thought it would have been a little bit more violent. Like Hanan was basically telling, like, we don't want you, get out of here. And I was like, Hazuki might just like go explode. But Hazuki was just like, no, I'm just going to peace out. Again, solid match. I want to see a Hazuki versus Tomoka Inaba match, and more Kyona Katatsu in Stardom, please. I'm glad that she's better. She's healed up from whatever injury she had. Again, this is the perfect opportunity for her to really rise in the ranks of this roster. Solid stuff. Again, buddy, 4 stars for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I do like the fact that Hanan took charge of the situation. I think it was always going to happen that FWC would leave stars. Taro Okada sort of telegraphed that during that interview that they will be leaving, although everyone sort of lost their mind thinking it was going to be their departure from Stardom. It's going to be interesting to see how these factions shake up, because factions, and again, friend of the show, Armani Shoe Exchange, summed this up beautifully. Factions are the lifeblood of Stardom. And it's how we build stories, how we build feuds. And if you look at people who are currently unattached, excluding the 2 rookies who are debuting on the 21st, you've got Motoi Hamabe, who's out with injury currently, obviously, Hazuki and Koguma, who are without a faction, Uriah Hime, who's out of faction, and Ann Kanai, who is out without a faction. If you keep whatever stars ends up being, whatever phoenix comes from the flames of what is stars, I would argue that both Ankanai and Motoi would fit in very, very well with that. You've only got 4 members of Neo Genesis, don't forget. You've obviously as well, looking at Hazuki and Koguma, for me, there's only really one place where they can go. And that, of course, is... and... That was Movida Loca, by the way, for YouTube viewers. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what Rini Yamashita and Itsuki Aoki's their availability is like for every Stardom show. And you can't just have Suzu and Akira Kuragane teaming on every show in tag action. So I think that Hazuki's violence certainly fits with that. I think Koguma obviously goes where Hazuki goes. They're best friends. They're the best tag team in Joshi. So, that goes without saying. I think that could be something that we do. Obviously, if and when the Momo Watanabe turn happens, could we potentially have them as well join Movida Loca? So, again, that's something to take into account. Someone needs to go to Neo Genesis because they can't just have the 4 of them. I feel like they need another one. There is 6 people in God's Eye. I'm just looking at the faction affiliations at the moment. Enex's V are desperately in need of Xena to come back. I can't stress how much they need Xena to come back from this injury, not just because she's great, but because they need someone to lead that faction. Obviously, you got Saori to come back for God's Eye, which means that God's Eye have 7 members, and that's not including Kyoko Katatsu. So loads of members there. Obviously, you've got Cosmic Angels who've got 5, and Stars who've got 3. So there are going to be some faction shakeups relatively soon, I would have thought, because you've now got more factions with more members. Obviously, you've got the 85 members of Hate as well, not to put too fine a point on it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Moving on to the singles match between Syuri and Aya Sakura, and this match was a match I was looking forward to before all of the IWGP Women's Championship challenges that came before it. I was looking forward to this because it was the exact platform I wanted Aya Sakura to have. Aya Sakura is someone who has taken that book and has run with it, not just because she's the Sendai Girls Junior champion, but that feud with Chi-Chi was fantastic. Every time, just like Yuna Mizumori, every time she's given that opportunity, she goes with it. She's got that opportunity against Saori on the 31st of May. She had the opportunity with Syuri here. And though I actually think these two have got a better match in them, this was still very, very, very good.
This was phenomenal. I knew what I was going to get, and I got it in spades. They started out with the low kick trade-off, again, very much like an MMA fight or a Muay Thai fight. You're trying to get the timing down, the distance down to see how far I have to kick to try to, take apart my opponent's leg. That eventually sets up the grappling. Great grappling back and forth. Obviously, Syuri has the advantage there, but she gives Aya enough to show that she's a great grappler as well. Again, Syuri's on another level. And after Syuri gets done playing, Syuri becomes Syuri. The snapmare stiff kicks, the PK kicks, really grinding Aya down. And then we see what Aya is made of. Great fighting spirit, especially in Korakuen Hall, and the crowd was with it. They were really, obviously they were cheering for Syuri, but they wanted to see Aya fight back, and Aya fought back. And again, to Syuri's credit, bumping, feeding, making sure Aya got in the offense and making sure she got hit Syuri as hard as humanly possible. Because we've seen Aya hit really hard over these last 4 or 5 months, but this was on another level, and it needed to be, because she's in the ring with the hardest hitter. Maybe not just in Stardom, but maybe life, Rob. Maybe just in life. And Syuri, great. I love Syuri. Great submissions back and forth. Really excellent stuff there. We get the code breaker and a stiff kick and a penalty kick for a 2 count. Aya comes back with a German suplex. We've seen Aya on these Sendai Girl shows using a German suplex almost as a finisher. She has a great bridging German suplex. She caught Syuri for a near fall here. Eventually, it is Syuri using a head kick and then grinding Aya down with a grounded Suzaku for the tap out. 4 1/4 stars. The fact that this got over 12 minutes to tell their story, absolutely loved. I agree they have a better match in them, and that's going to be maybe in a year from now when Aya challenges maybe for the IWGP Championship, because she's going to consistently get better, and Syuri is just fantastic, especially now that Syuri's IWGP champion. We're going to see big match Syuri more often than not, because, again, she's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and, again, maybe the hardest hitter, Rob, in life in general. Again, 4 1/4 stars for me. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this. And as I mentioned before, Saori then came out to challenge Syuri for a IWGP Women's Championship match. Obviously, those two went to a 30-minute time limit draw at Saoriism in a fantastic match, which I believe is up on YouTube. So if you haven't already seen it, absolutely go and check that out, because that's a blinding match. But Alex Windsor did appear on the Korakuen Hall screen to officially lay out a challenge for the 6th of June at the Pro Wrestling Eve show, which Saori then completely just broke me when after this video package went out, she just went, "Who's that?" Which completely took the wind out of it a little bit. But there we are. Anyway, we went to Taro Okada, who said that Syuri will defend that belt on the 6th. That's now been made official because, Matt Turner, there is a match graphic. And the match between Syuri and Saori, or the match between the winner, should I say, and Saori, will take place at the Conversion on the 21st of June in Yoyagi. So 2 IWGP Women's Championship matches set up, presuming that Syuri retains in England, which I do think she will. It will be Syuri versus Saori as your first confirmed match for the 21st of June, which I don't think you will find many Stardom fans complaining about, Matt.
Nope.
Moving on then, Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, Haruka Umasaki versus Konami, Rina, and Ruaka. I thought that this was going to be a shoe-in way that we were going to get Artist of Stardom challenges. And no. Starlight Kid pinned Konami clean with the moonsault. Although I will say, and I'm possibly in the minority, I still think that Starlight Kid is not 100% with that shoulder. You could see when she hit the moonsault. I know that Konami had worked the arm, but the landing, she's not that good an actress. The way she landed and instantly had to change the arm she was hooking the leg with because her shoulder was hurting. Again, I do wonder, had Micah not gone out with injury and had we not had the raft of injuries that we've got at the moment, I do wonder if Starlight Kid would be taking some time off to heal. That being said, the match itself was good, but not the cut and dried match that I anticipated we were getting, Matt.
You made mention before about possible new members for Neo Genesis. Had it right here, buddy. You know, we talked about Kohaku. She fits in really well, you know, especially team with May Sarah as part of Star Fox. And again, Haruka Yamasaki, great chemistry when she was Karma with Starlight Kid. That probably obviously the gimmick was Kane Light, but when she got in the ring, she was great. Her and Starlight Kid, they gel really well together, and she's a lovable baby face. And now that Starlight Kid is a clear baby face and has been officially has been a baby face for the past year or so, she fits in well here. And again, her stuff with Miyu Amasaki was terrific. Miyu works really well with Starlight Kid. Another big plus you had in this match, you had two of Starlight Kid's former challengers for the Wonder of Stardom Championship in Konami and Rina, and they both had absolutely terrific matches at the Path of Thunder and the Cinderella Finals, respectively. Natsuko in these multi-person matches, she plays her role really well. Obviously, you have the Hate Brawl to start. We have Heat to start. She does a good job distracting the referee. You get the Hate Crate in there from time to time. But regardless, this was a phenomenal, hard-hitting match. And I totally agree. I thought that the Rina, Konami, and Ruaka team would have won to set up the Artist Championship match because that's what they were teasing to. But then at the same time, I kind of understand where they were going to get a number one contenders. And I'll get into a minute, number one contenders match and build up your white belt match and a post-match angle. And I was like, oh, I like that idea better. Again, terrific stuff. Haruka Yamasaki was on point as always. I don't think we've seen her since the 5-star Grand Prix last year where she was in like a random tag match, I think tagging with Starlight Kid against Momo and somebody else. I just remember because it was a great match and it ended in a double count out. And who doesn't want a double count out during the 5-star Grand Prix, buddy? You got to mix it up. Again, for me, this was 4 stars. Terrific match. The ending sequence with Konami and Starlight Kid was terrific. I agree with you that Starlight Kid is not 100%, but I think she's a lot better now than she was about 2 or 3 months ago. So I don't know how wise it was for her to win the match with the moonsault. We've seen her. She can win with a roll-up. She could win a match with the Tiger Suplex. She can win it with a leg crusher submission. That moonsault does put a lot of strain on her shoulders. God bless her for doing it against Starlight Kid, my new best friend, next level competitor. Really great match. And then, I was kind of like, oh, I thought maybe Miyu would have ate the fall here. But I liked what they did afterwards, Rob. I liked how they had go ahead, do it. Who came out to challenge for the number one contendership, Rob?
Yes. So it looked like Starlight Kid was going to offer the championship match to Hate, who had already made their intentions clear at one of the Road 2 shows during Golden Tour Fight Week. But no, it was Mi Vida Loca that came out and said, no. We want a challenge as well. Anyway, that has now been made official, a number one contendership match for the Artist of Stardom Championships with Hate, Konami, Rina, and Ruaka taking on the Mi Vida Loca team of Rina Yamashita, Itsuki Aoki, and Suzu Suzuki. So that should be great. And again, I am always a big fan of number one contendership matches. I think it does add a little bit of a reason, a little bit of storyline reason that we're having these matches, and it makes the titles feel more important as well. So I'm more than happy that we're getting that. Obviously, the winners of that will take on Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, and Azumi for those belts. Though, again, it hasn't been confirmed when that is. I'm wondering if that will be another match that we have for the conversion. I'm going to bring the tone down a little bit because I think Kirsty might have gone to bed. And I feel like if she gets woken up by me yelling the words conversion over and over again, she might well leave me. So, although she did watch a barbed wire death match and still is with me, so who knows?
And then asked to watch WrestleMania with you.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
she's locked in. I don't think partner is going to happen at the conversion because I think they're going to need a Starlight Kid white belt match to draw the big crowd. I think you'll see 2 big title matches there. And then afterwards, Rob, we had Hanako come out to set up their match. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Hanako, Starlight Kid, white belt. That's taking place at the next Korakuen, and it's #1 contenders for the artist match with La Vida Loca and Hate. That's taking place at the same Korakuen show, correct?
Both of those are taking place at the next Korakuen Hall show. You have got the 2 rookie debuts. We'll go through the card in a moment once we finish this match show review. The Wonder of Stardom Championship, the Artist of Stardom #1 contendership match, as well are all on this upcoming Korakuen Hall show on the 21st.
No, my point just was I like how they do. Hey, you set up an angle in a match on the same venue you're going to have, that you set up the angle. So I like that you're paying it off in the same venue. It's a great way to sell tickets. That's smart and easy booking.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. We moved on then to the semi-main event, the CMLL Japan Women's Championship. Julia defending against Mei Seira. Matt, I know you've said before that Lucha Libre is not your favorite style of wrestling. What did you think of this? And what did you think of Mei Seira adapting her style to that Lucha style? Or Julia adapting her style to a more Japanese style?
I think they both try to adapt their styles, and it worked, but it didn't work. It didn't hit all the high points for me. I don't know if it's because it only got 9 minutes, or it looked like May might have been a little bit confused because Mexico is the only country where they work on the right, and could be a little bit tricky when you have that muscle memory to work on the left. And then I think she's going a little bit too fast for the Lucha style, even though Lucha style is very fast and flashy, but May is on a completely another level. So it just seemed like, again, I had a 3 3/4 stars. It was a good enough match, but I think that some things just didn't sync up all the way. I like Tabitha better. I thought her matches since she's been in Stardom have been better. I have made mention how the Lucha style can be kind of hit or miss. Tabitha's hitting. Again, this wasn't a miss. I was maybe just expecting a little bit more. Maybe, again, I just think might have been something that was off. And that happens. Sometimes it's tricky to do. Again, I had it at 3 3/4 stars. However, I mean, this can set up for a rematch for the high speed championship because, again, this was a match that went less than 10 minutes. The new high-speed championship rules have a 10-minute time limit and 3 falls, and May can get her win back. So there's a possibility that's where they go, where it's a 2-match series, and I have no problem with them running this one back with a little bit more experience with the 2 of them in the ring together.
That was the big thing that stuck out to me. It wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination, and that's something that, we've both said. What I did notice, and again, that's something that you will be able to pick out as a wrestler, the fact that working on the left and the right, that's not something that was immediately obvious to me. What was obvious was that Mei Seira was significantly quicker in ring than Julia was, and that did lead to having to wait for spots and things like that. So maybe that was a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe that was just a clash of styles. Either way, it's good to see Mei Seira back in the ring because she is excellent. And obviously, the more you wrestle a certain style, so if we see Julia continue and maybe do another mini tour of Japan, she's going to learn that style and learn the different methodology in that. So again, as the CMLL Japan champion, I am pretty sure we are going to see more of it in Japan. Moving on to the main event of the show, Saya Kamitani and Sayaka Kurura. Now, Matt, this may have been the lockiest lock to have ever locked in terms of a wrestling result. I think if you asked 100 Stardom fans who was coming out of this match as the winner, 100 fans would have said Saya Kamitani. But that's not what this match was about. This was about Sayaka Kurura proving herself. And not necessarily looking for Saya Kamitani's acceptance, but looking for maybe a fleeting show of respect. And I feel the more that Sayaka Kurura stayed in this match, the more the crowds got behind her. This Korakuen crowd were absolutely red hot for Sayaka Kurura, for this match in general, but for Sayaka Kurura in particular, when she hit Saya Kamitani with the spear, when she repeatedly kicked out of the Star Crusher. She is a star in the making, certainly. But ultimately, Saya Kamitani was winning this match, was always winning this match. The fact that it took 2 Star Crushers back to back to win the match says more about Sayaka Kurura. So, an excellent main event, a really enjoyable main event, even if we knew the result. And that, again, 1,503 people chose to go to this show despite the fact that they knew Saya Kamitani was retaining the belt against Sayaka Kurura. That goes to show how hot Stardom is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you had a good point here. However, there was a few instances in this match, and I'll get into it in a few seconds, that
there were some really good near falls. I will give you that.
I watched this show live. This was Saturday. I think by the time this match came out, it was right around midnight my time, and I was on the edge of my chair, the same chair that I'm sitting in. If you're watching on YouTube, because I was like, oh my god! For a few split seconds, I thought they were changing the title when it came to the reversal of the Star Crusher into the inside cradle, which we've seen Sayaka pin Saya. And then she kept going to the inside cradle, and every fall kept getting closer. It was like 2.9, 2.999, 2.999. Every one got closer. And then she did this one where she almost gets like a hammerlock and then rolls through into like a really cool roll up. And a lot of people in Korakuen bit, which again is a credit to the way this match is built up over the last few weeks. Was a credit to Saya Kamitani getting their shoulder up at the last possible second. Was a credit to Sayaka Kurura's facials. Really looked like she's holding Saya down for the 3 count. And a credit to, I'm almost positive it was Daichi getting so close on the 3 count. And it made you believe that you were going to see a title change a few times. Because again, it's pro wrestling. Anything can happen. You never know where they may throw you a left hook instead of a right cross. And they had me on the edge of my seat in 1,500 people in Korakuen Hall. I thought those were some great falsies. I loved how the match started, where Sayaka Kurura, again, she's the clear underdog here. Out of all these red belt matches, probably since 2021, this is the biggest underdog we've ever seen in a match. She comes out not feeling like the underdog. It's like, hey, I'm going to take my best shot here. She comes out with some brutal drop kicks, really aggressive. And then I saw something different from Saya Kamitani that I've never seen. Obviously, Rob, you and our longtime listeners know I'm a massive fan of Saya Kamitani. And I was like, is this a new wrinkle into her game? What had happened was after those drop kicks, Sayaka tries to go for a double leg takedown. Saya stops it and then floats all the way over, takes her down, takes the front, then takes the back into a rear naked choke. And I'm like, are we seeing Shooter Saya Kamitani? like this is just like Syuri's realm. And it's like one thing when like it's worked, right? I can float anybody over, make anybody look good in that part. But like the way that like Saya Kamitani did it flawlessly, it's like clearly she's working on her ground game. And she's going to start adding a little bit of that, even if it's this little bit in the beginning of the matches that already goes with her fantastic offense. I mean, we're just going to see another new level of Saya Kamitani because I love every aspect of wrestling. I think Saya Kamitani is a phenomenal wrestler. Her explosive offense is second to none. But if we're going to be adding a little bit of that ground game and how well she was able to counter and float over to a top mount, to a side mount, to back control, like next level, like catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu stuff, I'm like, wow, we're really, really putting a lot of stock into Saya Kamitani's offense with that, and I am all for it because, again, she's terrific. Again, really great stuff. Saya Kamitani. I mentioned this a lot on the Marigold Standard, how Utami is probably the best wrestler in the world, taking somebody in the middle of the card and making look like they belong. I think Saya Kamitani has blown past Utami Hayashishita when it comes to that, the way that she's been able to do with everybody this past year in a big match here, making Sayaka Kurura look like she belongs in said thing. It's like Saya, Utami, and nobody else, which again, Aphrodite and Queen's Quest forever, my friend, which I'll get into a more Queen's Quest love in just a moment. Again, Sayaka Kurura came into this match, Cinderella winner. She was here. She was on a pretty high pedestal. Saya Kamitani took her right to here. And she's going to be staying at a pretty high level for quite some time because people believe in her. People are going to be buying tickets to watch her, especially in Korakuen Hall, a venue that she is massively over in. You're absolutely right, my friend. A lot of people were rallying behind Sayaka Kurura towards the finish. Excellent stuff. She hits the slice bread number 2, which I was like, all right, that might have been only the second or third time she hit it. She hits the Falcon Arrow, a couple big spears, the rear naked choke. I love how she does that, where she springs off the second rope and twirls her body like in 360 degrees and hits the old Tito Santana flying jalapeno, as Bobby the Brain Heenan used to call it. Great stuff there. And again, very much like in the preview tag matches, Saya Kamitani is bumping like a machine. Like she's taking proper like head bumps and flopping all over, like making it look like she is getting hit with like a Syuri kick, like really royally properly bumping and feeding and making Sayaka Kurura look like somebody that can be a main eventer. And for a few moments in this match, you believe that she was going to win, which is the genius of Saya Kamitani. And I love the finish. Sayaka Kurura is getting ahead of steam. She gets a little bit too ahead of herself. She makes the mistake when she goes for another spear. Saya Kamitani stops her. 2 star crushers for the 3 count. Phenomenal match. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me that this is the best match in the young career of Sayaka Kurura,
without doubt.
Which is, in my opinion, Sayaka Kamitani has the best match in so many people's careers. In my opinion, the Starlight Kid has their best match. Maika, Himeka, Mirai, Mina Shirakawa, Tam Nakano. So many great wrestlers in Stardom and now outside of Stardom have had. Again, it's my opinion. In my opinion, their best match with Saya Kamitani. And she's continued to do this. Who's not to say Saori Anou isn't going to have her best match when they pull that trigger? Natsupoi, arguably maybe her best match was that white belt match with Saya back 3 years ago. And if they redo that for the red belt, that might be Natsupoi's best match. There are so many people that have one of, if they're not their best match with Saya Kamitani. Saya is on a completely another level right now. When we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm going to mention here it again. We are 5 months into this year. I think Io's had a phenomenal year, especially what she's doing on the worldwide stage. Tam has had a great year. Obviously, she's retired. I think Takeshita, what he's doing in AEW is second to none. There's a lot of great wrestlers having a great year. But for me, it's Saya Kamitani and everybody else chasing her for Wrestler of the Year. She is on another level. And Rob Goodwin, I'm putting it out there in the ether right now because you know it is going to be a big discussion on the Stardom cast in about 8 or 9 months' time. As long as everything kind of keeps going the way it's going, I think the number 1 and number 2 wrestlers for the PWI Women's 250 will not be Mandy Rose. I think it's going to be Saya Kamitani and one Io Shirai. So if they can upend the upstart that is Mandy Rose, I'll be really happy about that, partner. Again, this match was terrific. 4.5 stars for me.
Yeah, they've got to get past, obviously, Liv Morgan first.
Jade Cargill. If I was talking to Andy Header, the year that Syuri was number 1, Saya Kamitani Saya had that big run as the white belt champion. She was number 7, and Jade Cargill was like 5 or 6. So those are the 2 people that they have to go through.
You've got to get past that. No, I understand that. Obviously, it's a mountain to overcome. Hopefully, just hopefully, they're able to. I'm not sure though, Matt. I'm really not. Moving on, then a great Korakuen Hall show, a really, really enjoyable show. But looking ahead in terms of what Stardom have planned, 3 shows coming up next week, starting with back-to-back shows this weekend, starting on Saturday, May 17th in Nagano. The card is as follows: singles match, Yuna Mizumori versus Uriah Hime. A 3-way trio battle. Cosmic Angels team of Natsupoi, Sayori, Anou, and Aya Sakura taking on the God's Eye team of Hina, Tomoka Inaba, and Rani Yagami, and their hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, and Azusa Inaba. That has the potential to be really good. Singles match, Akira Kuragane versus Ruaka. 6-woman tag, God's Eye team of Syuri, Saki Kashima, and Lady C against the Stars trio of Hanan, Sayaida, and Momo Kogo. 6-woman tag, FWC teaming with Suzu Suzuki against the hate team of Konami, Rina, and Fukigen Death. Maybe we get a little bit of movement there on on FWC to Mavita Loca. I would argue that that's probably where we're going to get those first seeds sown. And then in what is currently slated to be your main event, 6-woman tag action, a white belt preview match, Starlight Kid, Meisera, and Mio Amasaki of Neo Genesis versus the Hate Team. Oh my God, the EXV team of Hanako, Rian, and Waka Tsukiyama. So that show, 17th of May in Nagano. We are then moving to Sunday, May the 18th in Toyama. We have a 6-woman tag. God's Eye of Lady C, Ronnie Yagami, and Tomoka Inaba taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurura. That is a real hidden gem of a match. That's going to be great. Singles match, Waka Tsukiyama taking on Fukiken Death. 6-woman tag. The God's Eye team of Syuri, Zaki Kashima, and Hina taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Saori and an additional Rian. 6-woman tag, we have got Suzu Suzuki, Akira Kuragani, and Uriah Himi against the Hate team of Konami, Ruaka, and Rina. 6-woman tag, Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid, Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki taking on the team of Hanako, Hazuki, and Koguma. Interesting. And then in what is again slated to be your main event, 6-woman tag, the Stars trio of Hanan, Saida, and Momokogo taking on the Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, and Azusa Inaba. Matt, we then move to Korakuen Hall, where obviously we have a lot of interesting things coming out of the show. Most importantly, perhaps, the Wonder of Stardom Championship between Starlight Kid and Hanako. We have the Artist of Stardom Championship #1 contendership match that I mentioned before, where we have got the Hate team of Konami, Ruaka, and Rina taking on the team of Suzu Suzuki, Rini Yamashita, and Itsuki Aoki, who, of course, collectively are known as Mavida Loca. How long do you think before people start commenting saying, can you please stop with the stupid Ricky Martin bit?
They stopped. They said it with the conversion, and then we stopped, and now we're back, and we keep going back to the Path of Thunder, dun dun dun, and rock and roll. So it's a bit, folks. It's a bit. You know what? And I'm not a good dancer at all. Yeah, I'm not a good dancer at all. My wife does not watch these on YouTube. So yeah, if anybody knows how below average dancer I am, it would be her. So I'm all for it, buddy. I think it's great. And the fact that Ricky Martin personally knocked on your door and said, stop it. And then you basically Stan Hansen lariated him in the face. I think that's great. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've then got the debut of the two rookies. Mai Matsuda will be taking on Azumi, and Toyoshima will be taking on Hana. And it is worth noting that those names are not confirmed to be their ring names, so they may come out to different names, but that is what we have at the moment. Saori will be taking on Waka Tsukiyama and Rian. God's Eye team of Syuri, Hina, and Lady C will be taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurura. We've then got Meisera, Miyu Amasaki, Sayuri, and Momokogo teaming up against the Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, Azusa Inaba, and Fukiken Death. I thoroughly expect Hanan to come out after that match and challenge Saya Kamitani. I'm just putting it out there.
Ooh, I like that. I like that match.
I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that is what's going to be the main event on the 21st of June. And again, I'm all for that.
What's the name of that show on the 21st, buddy? I know you can't keep the volume, but what is the name of that show?
It is Conversion.
Oh, like the Tom's Tundra. Oh, we haven't done that in a while.
Oh, we haven't done that. Well, she
hasn't
doesn't
hit
do it.
Oh,
she hasn't hit it in a long
time.
Yeah,
because we wouldn't miss that opportunity.
Absolutely. Come on, Sioriano. Bloody half-arse in your matches. We've then got Akira Kuragane, Uriah Himi, Hazuki, and Koguma taking on the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Saki Kashima, Kyoka Kitatsu, and Rana Yagami. Currently, that show is scheduled to air live on Stardom World, obviously the 21st of June. I'm really intrigued to see what Hanako can do in that main event scene, in a singles match, a big singles match, the biggest singles match of her career. I think there's a lot of people that were surprised that she was the one that won that Rumble. But again, we talked about it at the start of the show for a good long time. It's about building stars. It's about elevating people to different positions. So let's see basically if Hanako sinks or swims, because, if she swims, we've got another star in the making, which is great. That being said, Mr. Turner, there is one thing and one thing only left to do on this podcast, and that, of course, is Io and Kairi watch.
Folks, I talked about this match on the Marigold Standard because it bleeds over into our gaze with Giulia. I have no problem talking about the match again. We go to the main event. Yes, the main event of Monday Night Raw. Io and Rhea Ripley taking on the team of Giulia and Roxanne Perez. Giulia's debut on the main roster. Her match debut, wrestling debut, is in the main event of their flagship show. Could not be any happier. And then you watch the match and you get happier. Io starts out all sorts of on fire. Thez press to Roxanne Perez. Eventually, the heel team of Io and Giulia and Roxanne Perez cut the ring off. We get heat onto Io. Io eventually makes the hot tag. Rhea is bumping everybody in this match. The match spills out to the floor. Io winds up hitting the picture-perfect suicide dive to the floor. We get great teamwork back and forth between the two teams. Eventually, we do see Io hitting the moonsault on Giulia. Can we please get that match between two former World of Stardom champions, which, by the way, thanks to Michael Cole, mentioning Giulia, former World and Wonder of Stardom champion, on the big show. Io hits the moonsault onto Giulia. Roxanne Perez breaks up the fall. Giulia gets the advantage on Io. She hits the Northern Lights bomb onto Io. Rhea Ripley breaks up that fall. Rhea Ripley winds up blind tagging herself in. Roxanne Perez accidentally high cross bodies one Giulia, opening the door for Rhea Ripley to pin Giulia with the Riptide in a phenomenal must-see tag match worthy of the main event of Monday Night Raw. Folks, go out of your way to said match. With that being said, Rob Goodwin, I'm going to ask you 4 quick questions, Rob Goodwin. Rob Goodwin, who is the founder of Queen's Quest?
Well, that'll be Io Shirai.
Yes, current WWE Women's Champion. Now, Rob Goodwin, who is the final member of Queen's Quest?
Well, that would be Saya Kamitani.
Current World of Stardom Champion. Rob Goodwin, you're 2 for 2, sir. Rob Goodwin, who is the final full-time leader of Queen's Quest?
Well, that would also be Saya Kamitani.
No. Full-time leader, like not self-appointed.
Guys, Utami Hayashishita.
Yes, current red belt champion from Dreamstar Fighting Marigold. Rob Goodwin, the final question.
I can do this. Come on.
Who is the longest member? Who's been in Queen's Quest the most amount of days?
Well, that would be Momo Watanabe.
Wouldn't it be Azumi?
Oh, would it be Azumi? Yes, it would be Azumi. I apologize.
There you go.
No, would it? Or would it be Momo? Oh.
Point I'm trying to make is I'm going to go with Azumi. Anyway. I could be wrong because everybody know it'd be you. So look at that. You might have stumped me and I'm the one asking you. It's like stumping Ken Jennings on Jeopardy. Anywho, Azumi, current New Japan strong champion. Again, Queen's Quest clearly alive and well because we did see the logo come up on worldwide TV, my friend. Bow down.
Absolutely. Bow down to the Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to an end of our podcast. Obviously, next week, we will definitely be covering the show from Nagano and Toyama. The Korakuen Hall show is on the Wednesday, I believe. Is it a week today? So it's Wednesday. Hopefully we will have that watched ready for you on the 22nd, but just put a pin in that because obviously card subject to change. It is pro wrestling after all. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, you can subscribe on the podcast app of your choice. We are literally everywhere. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, that would really, really help us out. You can also check out patreon.com/the StardomCast if you like all of your episodes early and ad-free for as little as a solitary $1 a month, as well as thousands of hours of bonus content as well. You can check out the website, talkjoshi.com, and you can also check out the merch store where we have got our Hana Kimura tribute merchandise on sale until the 1st of June. Again, every single penny, every single cent of our profits is going to rememberhana.com. So please have a look around. Have a look around. If you like something, buy it. Again, everything that we make from that, 100% of profits, will go to rememberhana.com. Social media, we are everywhere at the StardomCast, apart from Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, where we are Talk Joshi. You can also talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Mr. Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on the TikTok, and the Blue Sky. If you want to shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. The email address simply is, folks, the StardomCast22 at gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.